everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to the program. I'm Tom Connors. With me is the boss man, Andre. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this lovely Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. It's the 31st of May, the last day of the month. Tomorrow is somebody's birthday. But anyway, until then, we're just going to talk about news. We have joining us this morning, Culture Casino. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Thanks for being here.
Glad to have you here. We also have joining us Mr. Script Doctor. How you doing?
I am doing well. Doing well.
Glad to have you. And also we have from the Great White North, Mr. Paul Chato as well, who I believe is off watching the Ninja Turtle trailer, so he'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. I know that you have thoughts. I have thoughts too. But yeah, so we have Ninja Turtles and we have mermaids and whatever else you want to talk about today.
Strike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on strike. I might as well. Everybody else is. Make the most when you pay for the best. That's right.
I like that script. That's nice.
Better than some of the other signs I've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what's really terrible. Did any of you guys catch on Puck? They had a contest for best sign, and the most derivative one won.
I didn't see which one won, but I do remember you mentioning it.
Yeah.
Which one ended up
AI
winning?
doesn't have childhood trauma. I'm like, oh, give me a break. You don't need that to write.
The hell? Oh, that just goes to show you the state of affairs when it comes to writers in Hollywood, I guess.
And probably an AI.
No offense, present company excluded. But welcome to the program, kids. We've got a few things to discuss. Yes, I'm a terrorist for not liking a mermaid movie. That's the charge, Jason Gray. That's the charge. We're going to get into that. And I see the 199 is here representing. Hello. Welcome to the program. Speaking of representing, we got Callum Lyle sending in a super chat already this morning. Says, on my Instagram, there's a shark eating a seabird. Really? Is it Scuttle? Somebody should mix that with the Scuttle wrap.
Did this happen in The Little Mermaid or something?
No, but it should have.
So the shark had a flavor for Aquafina?
Yeah. It says, tastes like chicken. Walt Mann says, for anyone going to watch the Barbie film, remember that Mattel used to make plastic components for the M16 rifles back in the day. Oh, okay.
Is that why they jammed all the time?
Maybe.
Oh.
I'm not sure of the significance, but yeah, there you go.
I believe they made like plastic M16 for toys, or in the toys for kids. I think I had one.
Back when
they
we
definitely
were kids,
had some accessories for their G.I. Joe, like 12-inch.
Yeah.
I remember when we were kids, we actually had guns that looked like real guns.
I know. Toys were so much better.
Yeah, then shit hit the fan. STR Red Wolf has been a member for 8 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much for that. Paranoid Android is here and says, listening to Midnight's Edge during my run is probably my favorite pastime. Some might say even obsession. Keep up the great work. Love y'all. Well, thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, indeed. And awesome that you run just to watch the road.
Natasha says only the plastic grips. Well, got to start somewhere.
Well, I did not know that. You learn something every day.
Dr. Longdongler sends a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And also share out the link. Let everybody know we're live. In fact, I got to do that myself. I see Paul's eating away up there, making me hungry.
Making me hungry too, yeah.
Philip M says, hello, panel. Thanks for the entertainment. May God bless all you in Jesus' name. Well, thank you so much, Philip, for the very generous super chat.
Thank you, Philip.
It is 12 noon here. So, I mean, and I'm working on schnitzel with cheese, melted cheese, mayonnaise, and hot sauce, and it is really good.
Glad to hear it.
That's a good working day right there.
And just keep bragging that you're in the future, asshole.
You're in the future, Andre.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
way in the future.
Oh yeah. Like where I'm sitting, it's 6:15 p.m. already.
Say it's supper time over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gundam Warrior 1 says, as someone who always hated that selfish brat Ariel, it's nice to see on the sidelines in a pop culture war it's nice to be on the sidelines in the pop culture war, unlike Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Star Trek, and He-Man. Yeah. I mean, well, this is one time where they can't really come after us too hardcore because we're not the audience. And then the women did show up in the US, at least for the movie. 63% of the audience was made up of 35 to 45-year-old women, at least from my last check on that demographic, right, Culture?
And they were in fighting form, apparently.
Evidently.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they were indeed. I mean, but I have to say, yeah, it's cool though that to do something for entertainment for men in the audience.
What's going to be hilarious is when Barbie makes this opening look like crap.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it will, I hope. Anyway.
No, I have a feeling Barbie's going to open huge. I think that's going to be a giant film. And again, I mean, it speaks volumes into the loss of faith in Disney across the board and anything they're involved in, all of their brands.
Yeah, but we'll get back to that. We got Infinite Wanderer here who says, script my chat on WCBS last night was asking for the writers on the panel, you to come up with a new and unique way to portray dwarves, not just copying Tolkien and Norse mythology, but something new.
Well, if I were to come up with something new, they wouldn't be dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
It's true.
That's just the fact. Dwarves are by nature stout.
Dwarves.
And yeah, some tunnel, some invent. I can make them accountants, but that would be a little closer to trolls. So
yeah,
but no, dwarves are dwarves. Tolkien himself took inspiration from Norse mythology and refined them into the culture that works for his universe. There's little leeway to do that. I mean, I could do it in any way you want because it would be my story. But the other part too, the converse part too, is that people who knew the source of where the mythology of dwarves come from would say, well, then those aren't dwarves. Kind of like how people who really liked the myth of vampires looked at Twilight and said, those aren't vampires.
Yeah, they're fairies. Well, they got more in common with fairies.
In fact, it reminds me of a conversation I remember overhearing about that John Landis had, where he asked audience members, how do you kill a werewolf? And then they would say, like, silver bullets, cutting off their head, blah, blah, blah. And he says, wrong. It was however you want to in your script. And it's like, well, that's a problem because you're bulking at the mythology around what that genre is, or that legend is. And it's basically the same type of attitude that some of the modern day writers are having with IPs.
There you go. Thank you so much. And then we got Don't Sold Me. I'm so sorry. I'm sure I destroyed that. Aquamarine 2006 is far better film about a mermaid than the current tasteless remake. I've never heard of that one. Or maybe I have. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think.
Aquamarine? Oh, I remember that. That's got the girl from the remake of I Spit on Your Grave, I think, or Last House on the Left. One of those horror films that takes place outside the forest.
Now I see the cover. I remember when that came out. All right. I don't think I never watched the movie itself, but I do vaguely remember it now. Yeah.
I do take your word for it, though, that it's better than the current Disney-fied remake for modern audiences. Something from 2006 weren't for modern audiences. It was for the audience of 2006. That alone makes it better.
That or Splash. Andrew Pitko says, I want to see a film adaptation of Elder Scrolls series. I'm sure you could find a way to adapt that. Sure.
They've been trying to do that for years.
Yeah. I've never really played it.
In fact, Elder Scrolls has got such a rich,
there's a lot,
rich history, lore that in many ways they would have competent people would have less issues with it than Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings, you've got the 4 books, and you've got the Silmarillion, right, which really doesn't help an awful lot. But like I said before, if you choose to do an Elder Scrolls thing where you go to that kingdom on the other side of Mordor, which just sort of saw the Mordor, in flames, then you could pull that off.
Well, and not to mention the fact that visually there's a rich history because of the games. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to put everything in place, and it's fully diverse. If you're looking for diversity,
lizard people and
cat people,
the Thalamin.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I am utterly shocked at how rich, and all the books you can read. Like if you choose to grab the books that they've got all the way through,
there's a lot of lore.
Game, and read. I read a lot of the books.
Yeah,
staggering what stuff they've got in there. Anyway.
Well, I mean, that was back in the day when Bethesda cared, although they still released broken stuff. But I still say Skyrim's still one of the games I can go pick up and play at any moment.
And that's why it's still selling.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, the games that are good, have that kind of depth, great story, great stories, they always sell. Look at GTA 5. GTA 5, still the top selling game. I mean, it's these games that stick around forever. Yeah. And then you get Fallout 76,
which they've now fixed. It's not so bad now. Took them a long time, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do with the series, because that Fallout series is coming still, whether you want it or not.
What, on TV?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Another dystopian streaming show. Thank God, because we're missing dystopian streaming shows.
Right.
My God, it's been so long since the last one.
What?
10
It's
minutes.
been so long since the last one, hasn't it?
Yeah. Silo.
Yeah, a good 3 hours?
Wow.
STR Red Wolf says Twilight vampires are vampires. They sparkle in sunlight for the 3.5 seconds before they burst into flames.
Well, there you go.
I don't remember them bursting into flames. 6. Did they burst into flames in the sunlight?
No.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Wait,
Our
sparkly
resident-
vampires don't catch on fire?
No, I've said this before. They come out during the day, they sparkle, they float around, they have more in common with fairies than they do with vampires. Sorry.
Is that?
I will say that a remake would have been far better if they actually had burst into flames after 3 seconds of sparkling.
Look, I mean, I'm not a fan, but it is what it is, and it works for the audience it works for. If they were to make a Twilight series right now, it would do gangbusters, I bet.
So are they like fairy pyres?
Fairy pirates?
Vampies? What do you call them?
I don't know.
Elves? I mean, they're more like elves.
They're
aren't they?
vampixies.
Kind of
Vampixies. I like that. Okay, they're
Vampixies.
Yeah.
Oh, 6 says
they
they're
are
going to
doing
make
like
a
a remake
Twilight
of
series.
it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, someone's has been pitching.
Well, it's smart.
Every property that's out there is being pitched.
Yep.
It's just the nature.
And every
It's
combination thereof of those
Yes.
properties. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a combination of the game Doom and Twilight, or All in the Family and Vampires Strike Back. Someone is
Actually,
pitching-
now I want to see that. I want to see All in the Family.
Hey, you know,
Vampires.
a script. We could put together a fake video of interesting pitches just based on combos.
Yeah, we could do that, because you know what? It's funny that you say that, because tomorrow I'm dropping an article on my Patreon about pitching and what you need to know and what you shouldn't do. It's kind of in response to what Film Courage dropped the other day, because they talked to Carol Kirshner, I think it was, head of CBS, and she's talking about when you pitch to her, but she's at the top. She gives advice that if people use that when they're pitching at the bottom, they will be silently rejected from the room. So
Interesting. But I mean, we can have such fun with, French Connection, Ghostbusters 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm still hung up on All in the Vampire Family.
All in the Vampire. See?
Yeah.
Archie, it's a fact that white to black ratio people that are bit by vampires is way different. Oh, come on, Dad. You can't tell me that, you idiot.
Right.
Just as many white people get killed by vampires as black people.
Oh, great. We let the werewolves into the neighborhood.
Oh, boy. Now we got a werewolf living next door.
It brings a whole new context to the insult of dingbat that Archie used on.
Hey, dingbat.
Well, look, I mean, honestly, I mean, the property values are going to go down now that the werewolves are there.
That's
Yes.
right. And yeah, what's his name? Dingbat, not Dingbat, but his wife could
Meathead,
be a vampire.
Meathead.
Meathead.
Got
He could be the
Meathead.
one human that doesn't get it.
Yes.
Well, that's true in real life, though. I mean, if you just follow that dude on Twitter, holy shit.
Well, the thing is, he goes to night school, so he sleeps during the day like everybody else in the family when he gets home from night school.
You know what?
That needs a vegetarian or something, which goes against.
All-
If
all
you're
of
gonna
the
live in this
vampires-
family, you're gonna bite necks with the rest of us.
And when Archie tells Edith that she's a dingbat, she goes flip. She turns into a bat, and then
Yep.
Yeah.
flies away. It's a very funny show. All in the
All the
vampires.
Family is one of the greatest comedies of all time, and something like that.
And
would be
married with
amazing.
werewolves, you know.
Married with werewolves. Dr. Sleep cannot wait to hear my opinion on turtles. Well, for those who don't know, there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem trailer that dropped this morning.
I did. Yep. I did kind of sort of heard it because you guys were yakking, and I was trying to concentrate on the thing. So I'll be interested in hearing.
Well, Andre, let's go to you first. I know normally we wait for you last or next to last, but
Yeah.
let's get your reaction on this first.
Well, I will say that I kind of like the animation style a little bit. So it had me going for the first.
Sorry, guys. Andre had to leave.
I'm with Andre. I thought the animation looked spectacular.
Yeah, but I wasn't finished. So basically, it had me going for the first 3 seconds, and then the longer and longer it carried on after that, the worse and worse it became. Like, I don't mind like the voices of the turtles or anything like that, and I kind of like the animation. I think that Jackie Chan for Splinter is an inspired choice. However, that's when we start getting into trouble, because why the hell does a Splinter voiced by Jackie Chan look like that? I mean,
Well, not only that, he's supposed to be
like
Japanese, but
Tom
let's not even
something.
get into that part. But anyway.
Yeah, and then when April O'Neil shows up, by that time I was out. I was done, and I was like, Jesus, what the hell kind of a parody is this? It's yeah, I mean, this is Seth Rogen doing Seth Rogen again. He's pulling another Preacher, which he completely utterly ruined. You ask me. So yeah, it looks fine. I don't mind the animation style. These pictures we're looking at, they look fine to me. What the hell is that? What the hell? Look at that. That is supposed to be Splinter, and this character is
Ratatouille.
voiced by Jackie Chan.
Right.
What the hell? Now, it's brilliant that you have Jackie Chan, but why would you have a character voiced by Jackie Chan look like that? That is ridiculous. And from there on out, it all basically just went off the rails. And then also the storyline that appears to be some Pinocchio-like thing, or the X-Men Magneto-like thing with
It's
mutants,
basically the same
knights,
storyline
Christ.
as the 07 movie where mutants took over the city, basically.
Yeah, I don't even remember the 07 movie. I don't know. I liked it at the time, but yeah, no, it looks completely ridiculous. Like, or rather, it looks fine, other than some design choices, but it sounds absolutely ridiculous. The plot seems stupid and contrived. I don't think this is going to be any good at all. I mean, and I'm as casual a fan as it gets when it comes to Turtles. It's not something I have like any kind of like real affection for. But this, yeah, this almost borderline offends me. I don't really have, especially April. Especially April. What an activist. That was like the worst of the bunch. So yeah, let's just say that I'm not a fan. Can I stay, Tom? When I said that.
No, you got shit to do.
Yeah, this is true. I do got shit to do.
So you're going to be in the background for a while, I suppose. But
Yeah.
unless you have anything more to say about this.
No, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. And what's so frustrating is that this had potential to be so good. Again, I like the animation style here. I like many of the voices, but then you have like some creative decisions, and I think that those creative decisions are going to ruin the whole thing. It wants to subvert. It wants to derail, and that's what it's doing, and no good can come from it.
Yeah, I see Yellow Flash in the chat. How you doing, buddy? I sent you a link if you're able to hop in and give your 2 cents on this. But Culture, what was your reaction to this trailer?
Oh, I hate this. I don't know how Andre watched the first 3 seconds without immediately going, that looks terrible. I understand that there are other people on this panel that disagree, but I do not appreciate the animation style. I don't appreciate the character models. I don't appreciate the voice acting. So far, I don't appreciate a whole lot of things that are involved in this. I've now seen 2 trailers of this and various clips that, have been released elsewhere. I'm not a fan. I mean, maybe the story will be good and maybe that'll turn me around on it, but based on what I've seen so far. And again, I'm commenting because visually animation visually has to be good, and this is, to me, it's not good. But again, we'll see. That's kind of the position that we're in. I'll have to see.
Script?
It's nothing to write home about. The plot seemed relatively average. Turtles wanting to integrate in society, seeing other mutants, those mutants challenge them to join them, and then a fight breaks out, and those mutants have some sort of plan. Yeah, but I think these are more like prepubescent teen-age mutant ninja turtles.
Especially Donnie.
It's kind of weird. There's like a contradiction, and I think they're trying to do that for dramatic irony, but it just didn't land in the trailer where they're, Splinter's giving each one their individual trait. Like Raph is brave, but then he's lustful for vengeance or violence. It's like, that doesn't quite land the way that they wanted it to, not in this context. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything new with this. I mean, even with the character models, they kind of ape what the 2 previous animated versions where they keep on giving Donatello glasses.
Yeah, that's been a thing in a bandana for Raph.
Yeah.
Yeah, the looks are somewhere between like the 80s cartoon, the movie, and the recent, the 07, I guess, not recent, but 07 CGI animation. Yeah. Mixed with the Spider-Verse jerk.
Yeah, the dropping frames technique, I like to call it.
The cheap way of basically trying to make your shit look like stop motion. But yeah, so Paul, what's your reaction to this crap?
As if I knew nothing about Mutant Ninja Turtles, I thought this trailer was, albeit long, very successful. If I knew nothing about the Turtles, it looked like a lot of money was thrown at this thing. I didn't mind it at all. My turtle lore is extended to a couple of movies, and then the fact that it's been around for an awful long time, and I mean, I think there was some real violence in there. I could be wrong. I was quite surprised that there was some nasty moments in it, which pleased me.
I don't know about violence. There might be some violins in the soundtrack, but
no, there seemed to be some death.
There's a little action, I guess. I don't know about.
I can't really recall, but no, I love the style. I will agree that after about the first 20 seconds, I thought, okay, this is a bit overwrought. Now, wait, maybe it's because of the trailer itself picking every single high action moment that just got to me. I went, okay, I get it. I don't need as much insanity, animated insanity. I would have liked to have seen it calm down and give me some story points. It's hard to say humanity when you're dealing with turtles, but you know what I mean. I mean, I would have liked to have seen some more of that than just the nonstop carnage, animated carnage. That I actually got tired of. April, I don't really care about.
Well, I think we've seen the extent of the plot, really. I don't think there's much more to it than what we saw in the trailer. I think Script Doctor's right. It's pretty much Out of the Shadows mixed with the 07 animated film. And in that Out of the Shadows, they're sick and tired of being, treated like monsters and delegated to the sewers, and they want to be able to be heroes and come out of the sewers. And then you have the other side of it where the city is clearly being taken over by mutants, and these mutants give them an ultimatum of join us or die kind of thing.
Someone said that's the X-Men plot.
And even though Shredder's not in the trailer, and some people are like, where's Shredder? I've heard that he's in the movie. But I don't know what extent. And considering Bebop and Rocksteady are there, I'm sure he is. And this Superfly.
Is that supposed to be Baxter?
I was just going to bring that up. I'm not sure if this is a new version of Baxter Stockman or if they're adopting it to a different character. Baxter Stockman was actually the original villain before Shredder came into the picture, kind of. Or Shredder was the original villain, but then when they started doing the actual storyline, April was actually Baxter Stockman's employee. He was a scientist. Yeah, basically. And he was making the Mousers. And
where's the guy with the hockey stick?
That's Casey Jones. I think he's in the movie, but I'm not 100% sure.
So
he'd be way too athletic for April now.
Yeah, they would
and
not
way
be in
too
the same.
Straight.
Yeah, too straight on top of it. You're right.
Well, one of the things that kind of bothers me is that if the Superfly is Baxter Stockman, they gave him a very poor diction.
Yeah, it's very.
It's very slang driven.
Yeah, that's the best.
Was the character black in the
original character was black,
but he was also a very articulate and impassioned scientist.
Yeah.
So they went with the cliche.
Yeah.
Ghetto.
Let me put it to you this way: the sad part is that they cast the guy who plays Medea in the second film.
Perry, yeah.
And he wasn't a bad casting choice. They just gave him nothing to work with, and they made the character a fucking clown. But Baxter Stockman is basically like, what's his name? The guy who does all the scientist who talks about the theories and the
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, he's kind of like that kind of a guy, probably more so. That kind of a only just crazy psycho scientist, basically. Yeah.
Well, I think obsessive and off his kilter.
Yeah. But yeah, he shouldn't be like this stereotypical kind of character.
Yeah, that's a disappointment then. Why make him so ghetto?
I don't know if it's him or not. That's what Script and I are kind of debating here, because Superfly is not anything he's ever been called before. And if they're aping the Fly character from that, because Baxter, depending on which version, he wasn't always the Fly. It's just the one version in the animated version he became.
But based on this trailer, I would watch the first episode if that is the criteria for what a trailer has got to do.
Look, the animation style aside, even the designs aside, I'll even give some of the designs a pass, at least the less gloppier kid Nickelodeon looking versions. Like these kind of things here, this stuff looks bad.
No, that stuff doesn't look great.
Yeah, but the turtles
look good.
They vary from decent to bad. Like I'm with Script. I hate this incessant need to add shit to the turtles to individualize them. Like, we don't need glasses on Donnie. Who the fuck put the braces on Mikey?
Probably Donnie.
Probably Donnie. Yeah, that's the only way you could actually, explain this crap. But I mean, look, I'm not above the idea of it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know we're not supposed to take it that goddamn seriously. But this to me feels like a huge step backwards even farther back than anything we've had before. As a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, I've had to live with the fact that we have had nothing but garbage for the most part in this franchise, with a few, shining moments of decency. Even in the 2003 season or show, shit went off the rails after like the third season. We have like 2 fourth seasons because they couldn't decide which direction to go. And that's the thing, is this has been a franchise that's just mired in so much corporate crap, so many different versions over the years. The fans have been treated like crap since the start. Seth Rogen is an insult. And I'm not meaning that as a joke. It's like, seriously, like, of all the fucking people in the world, why him? He is the last person you need to be getting involved in this fucking franchise.
Although I'll probably give him this, that I'm sure he's a huge fan of it. Now,
I think so, but he's probably just not the best choice to shepherd it. However, I
agree, but how many franchises have we already had ruined by people who proudly mentioned, "Oh, I never read the She-Hulk stuff. Yeah. Oh, I don't care about, didn't read any of Lord of the Rings. Oh, Superman. Nah, I wanted to come in all fresh. I didn't want to learn about him." I mean, how many people have we heard that's their claim to fame? And here we have Seth Rogen, who, we mutually don't have a lot of love for, that I'm pretty sure it was a huge fan of this. Now, the fact that he's going to ruin it makes it doubly or triply bad.
I wish I could believe that, Paul, because part of me would be like, okay, he might just be, and I even said that at one point, he might even be more of a fan of TMNT than Kevin Smith ever was of Masters of the Universe, because
he wasn't. Kevin knew nothing about it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The fact that he wasn't, and Seth might actually be, because Seth is closer to my age. The thing is, watching this trailer and the other trailers and all the things we've seen, the designs we've seen, the only thing I think Seth Rogen has ever watched was the first movie and a couple episodes of the TV show. I'm not kidding here. From everything I've seen,
I'm not joking.
I don't think he's seen much beyond that, because there is nothing original in this. There is nothing new brought to the table. There is so many places you could go, especially after we just had Last Ronin be one of the biggest selling comics of last year. Why are we doing this? Why are we taking a huge step backwards? I mean, yes, I get you're going after some nostalgia kick with, by trying to grab some things that look like the 80s cartoon and grab some things that look like the 90s movie. But at the end of the day, we've gotten this already. We've seen this a million fucking times. I want a decent fucking Ninja Turtle movie in the same tone as the 1990 movie that can be made for PG-13 audience. Actually use that PG-13, unlike the last 2 movies did. Keep Michael fucking Bay away from this shit. Keep Seth fucking Rogen away from this shit. I've even gone as far as to say, if you give Zack Snyder a decent script, he could probably direct the hell out of a Ninja Turtle movie. And I bet it would look amazing.
Slow motion down.
Even with the slow motion, if it's in 3D, it might look cool script.
Well, 3D is a fad. Stop promoting 3D.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's dead. It never lives.
It's going to come back again in 20 years. Just give it 10 more years.
They've been using it since the 50s. But this goes into the fact that, listen, the only reason we have this version of TMNT is because Seth Rogen was the only name that was profitable enough associated to this franchise to make it worth investing in. And if you want to get what you want, you're going to need someone who's got a bigger name and bigger influence in Hollywood that wants the same thing to do it. Otherwise, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. And I don't trust anybody at this point. Because even Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman can't see eye to eye on this fucking franchise. And I mean, I get it. This is not made for me technically, but it is at the same time. Like, who are they trying to appeal to here? Kids and people my age, right? And our age.
Yeah, I mean, my apathy here is high, but I mean, I'm looking at this animation. Tell me that's a good still frame animation right there. Tell me that.
No, none of
Yeah.
this looks appealing at all to me. I mean, I can see elements of the, like I said, the movie and the animated show, but that's it. That's the extent as far as it goes outside of them giving the glasses and the headband. That's the newer stuff. But as far as the design part, that's not my problem. The problem is that this is just, I get it's juvenile because it's made for kids, but it's like, it feels like a regression. And I don't know how else to put it. I mean, the last two movies were a bad regression. They made Ninja Turtles 3 look good. Yeah. Anyway, I'm probably way too close to this at the end of the day, but I don't know if I'm going to go see this or not in the theaters. Probably obligated to. Everybody's going to want to know what I think about it. Let's see what you guys are saying out there in the chat, shall we? Let's see here. We got John Thomas who says, y'all are being nice. Jeff Hicks over at World Class BSers is a TMNT fan and ripped it. Yeah. I'm trying to be as measured as possible here on this. I don't know how else to put it. Musketeer 627 says, my husband is a huge fan of TMNT. He wanted to kick a kid when he saw the trailer. I groaned when I read Rogan and hesitate to see Preacher because of him. I wouldn't even care if he was like just doing the voice of like Bebop or Rocksteady. That I would expect. But having him being in control of this makes no fucking sense to me. Nothing in his wheelhouse screams Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to me.
No, but the script is right. They probably got the production money because Seth Rogen was attached to it, and he's made billions of dollars for certain studios.
Yep.
There you go. Now, notwithstanding his Christmas special.
Yeah. No, I didn't take a chill pill. This is at that point where when dad's too calm, something's wrong. Like, watch the fuck out. Doug 1985 says new TMNT looks like trash. Tom, make it stop. I wish I could, man. I don't think this movie's gonna do very well in the box office. Because I mean, I'm not delusional on how big of a franchise TMNT is anymore. It's, you know, a pale comparison to what it used to be, but yeah. Dash Attack says, my memories of Ninja Turtles are vague 5-year-old memories, but holy hell, did they screw up Splinter? And I'm as casual and ignorant as they come. Well, aside from that fact, like I said, Splinter's supposed to be from Japan, but anyway. Tennille says, Daddy Tom, why is Seth Rogen? I don't know. I mean, Seth Rogen's a good reason why you shouldn't smoke weed.
Smoke weed every day.
And I'm a fan of weed, not Rogan. But anyway, yeah.
So my question is, how deep can the fandom menace go? Or do we just complain about everything?
I wish I didn't have to complain about this, Paul.
No.
Really
But I'm just saying, what's the limit? I'm curious. Is the gold standard of fandom menace ruination? Is that, and I'm talking about the vector between the quality of the property and how badly it was tarnished. Is Star Wars at the very top? Is Lord of the Rings at the top? Is the Marvel cinematic universe at the top? What is everybody's thoughts?
I would say by the amount of how the fans treat it, probably somewhere between Doctor Who and Star Trek.
Interesting.
But TMNT is down in that region because it has just been shat on since way before this crap. Because it's never been. The problem with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is everybody who's had some kind of control over it must react to it the same way most adults do the first time they heard that name.
Right. Well, this is going to be heresy, but I enjoyed the Megan Fox TMT.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Look, I mean, it has its fans. The first movie isn't as bad as the second one, but they're still pretty bad.
So anyway, see, this is me as being ignorant of the franchise.
Well, the gold standard, Paul, would be the 1990 film.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
In my opinion, in a lot of folks' opinions, that is one of those films that stands up there with Superman the movie as far as comic book adaptations go.
With that had the French Canadian guy as the hockey stick guy.
Yeah.
Elias Cortez, yeah.
Yes, Elias. Yes, that's right. So I was right. So I thought that was a good movie. I enjoyed that.
And that was mainly because the director took one look at the script and threw it in the fucking trash.
Oh.
And said, here, started tearing pages out of the comic book, literally, throwing them at his writer and saying, put this in the movie, put this in the movie, put this in the movie. So that's why 90% of the movie is stuff straight out of the comics. And then the rest of it is just adapted from the things that they made into the cartoon, that, the things that differentiated the Turtles.
So that is considered the gold standard for Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Pretty much, not just Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's a good example of how you take a franchise that has had multiple stories, like an adult version and now, and a kid version, and then taking them and mixing them together and making it work.
Well, my understanding is the original comics were really violent.
Yes, and that's my point, is the 90 movie manages to capture the tone of the original comics without going too dark and too violent. And it also captures enough of the innocence, fun, the pizza, the attitudes, that kind of stuff from the cartoons without it being too obnoxious until the second and third film.
Yeah, I mean, I can completely see someone who is, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my understanding was there was kind of a parody of superheroes, and then it took off. Like it was never meant to be what it became.
No, that's exactly what it was.
It caught people's imaginations. I mean, to a certain degree, if it is the middle finger to superhero movies, it would have been very interesting seeing an R-rated version of it that more closely tied in with the comics, because that would be part of the middle finger, right? That would be its zeitgeist. But someone very cleverly said, you know what? We could make billions of dollars in merch on this.
You're not wrong. That's kind of how it started.
But the thing is, the idea is so good that it was able to make that transition without harming it.
Well, the beauty of it was one of those properties that when it came out, it felt like it was one of those things that always naturally was there. You know what I mean? It was like,
and the premise is so strong. The original idea of it being just a parody of superheroes, it didn't need to be, but that's the evolution of a creative idea, right? I mean, the original stories we wrote for Mr. Canoehead were nothing like what they ended up being, in a somewhat similar way too, because, well, wait a second, the audience actually wants Mr. Canoehead to be like this, and we just sort of followed what the audience wanted it to be. They took ownership of Mr. Canoehead out of our hands, which I thought was a very interesting process. So there's a parallel to that. But again, you can make good versions of this and bad versions of this.
Well, that's the thing, is the problem here is the satirical or parody nature of Ninja Turtles seems to be lost on a lot of people. And it's not so much in that it's a bunch of one-liners and goofy make fun of Mad Magazine type shit. And that's, I think, the way most people viewed it, right? When it's like, no. The satire and the parody is just that, what you just said, Paul. It's a look at superhero stories, but it flips them on their head, but it also still takes itself seriously in the story that it's telling.
Which is exactly the way you need to do it.
And that's where the ones, all the franchises that mimicked and tried to be a Ninja Turtles didn't stick around, right? But Ninja Turtles managed to. So all the biker mice from Mars and the street sharks and the stuff that was just trying to copy the gross out factor of Ninja Turtles. And that's the other thing they tried to, and that's another thing I see here with this movie, that they think that it's all about, oh, kids are into this gross out stuff. No. The irony of turtles being ninjas is not lost on a kid. That's all you need. You don't need a bunch of wacky monsters. You don't need a garbage beast. You don't need all this stupid mutant mayhem. See how I plugged the title there? To sell this story. The turtles are enough. Shredder is enough.
Yep.
The whole idea of the background of what they're, whether even, because depending on which story you go by, Splinter is either Hamato Yoshi or he mimicked Hamato Yoshi, and that's how he learned ninja and taught the kids, right? In that he is out to avenge the death of his owner or his brother, depending on which storyline you're going by. And in that, the turtles, their whole mission in life, it even says in the original comic, one of the first lines said by Splinter is, I have trained your entire life to do one thing, kill the Shredder. So in that, like, yeah, they're trained as assassins from the start. There's this no, like, camaraderie, goofing around pizza shit in the first comics. That didn't come until the TV show.
Yeah, but that was fun. I didn't mind that.
And yeah, you need that element. That was kind of the part that really set this off, right? Is like, okay, you got the teenage name in there. Have them be teenagers.
Well, the one thing that bothers me with this trailer is that they're pulling a Thanos, in that the bad guy, again, one of the things that I've talked about is these superheroes losing their street cred. Make these street level heroes. We don't need galactic conflagration. It's just not necessary. The bad guy in this just seemed way overblown bad. And the fact that I guess he's another mutant spoils the mutantness of the turtles themselves. I mean, in some ways, if I remember the original movie, the turtles were mutants, and so, I mean, so was the rat.
You're not wrong. That's what they were, unique. And then they learned in the second film they were an accident,
right?
Which, you know, also gave them a crisis of.
But they were still street level, dealing with street level crime and thugs. When you up the bad guys and make them mutants also, then they aren't unique anymore. So
no,
that
I
was
agree with you. I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because this actually feels like it should be like a third film in a series.
Yes,
exactly.
That's exactly right. They've Thanos'd it way too early. There's so much more to explore, especially if they've made these these teenagers younger. Maybe they're going to school. I don't know. It could be a Saved by the Bell with the turtles, which would be very funny.
Well, I mean, there's elements. Now you're bringing up things that I wonder if they'll even dive into, which I doubt, Paul, that are things that if I was at a writing, in a writer's room, when I'm like, okay, you're going to revamp the Ninja Turtles. What are you going to do? What makes teenagers different now? Well, there you go. The turtles could actually go to school, homeschooling over the internet, right? Because they don't have to be seen. There's ways they can interact with the world and be a part of the world without actually being in it. And in that gives them more of incentive to want to be actually in the world.
Right. And they're kind of, I mean, my understanding is they're hiding themselves from the real world all the time.
That's kind of the main point. Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
and you're right. Is if there's a ton of mutants everywhere, it does take away their uniqueness.
That was the one thing that bothered me with this trailer is when, oh my God, another mega terrible bad guy.
Yeah, but Davina is right. Yeah, homeschooling would be seen as political in the wrong direction. Yeah. Well, we've talked Ninja Turtles to death. I don't want to bore anybody else.
No, but here, you could have a great gag.
True. You're right.
That over the last few years, this thing that has been happening on Earth has caused them to stay at home, which allowed them to be homeschooled through Zoom, but they would never turn on the cameras, or they'd have like a fake, cutout or something like that, puppetry. And now all of those are going to be ended, and they have to come to school. They go, oh my God, we can't go to school. They can't see us. So see, there's a dilemma that is more earthbound and still deals with the fact that they never want to show themselves to humanity.
Have them keep it a secret from Splinter that they've been doing this.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, well, we need permission in order to continue homeschooling, which means we need our dad to sign a permission slip. And they have to go to Splinter and he doesn't go, what the heck's going on? I mean, that's a good gag that can work into that type of context.
How did you fit a school into computer?
That's right. What is in this? Pull a Zoolander. Where is the school? I don't see it.
How do you get books out of this?
Yeah, so again, everything is overblown, and that could very well be the nature of the trailer, because trailers tend to be way overblown. There could be a lot more subtle gags in here than what they're showing. So
well, and that's another reason why they picked Rogan, because they're trying to go the more comedic route with this, with whatever. I get it; it's for kids. I shouldn't even really be giving it the time of day, but.
Well, that was actually, that was the other question that I had, is which properties deserve this kind of scrutiny?
Well, and that's the sad part, is Turtles is so multi-level, and I've said this before, that they could have multiple versions out at the same time. One more for adults, one more for kids, and people wouldn't have a problem, I don't think.
Heaven help them if they race swap Anne of Green Gables and take away her red hair. Let me tell you.
It'll be Anne of Black Gables?
Yeah, that's right.
Or Anna Brown
and then
Gables?
there's the little bit of a controversy with How to Tame Your Dragon, where they couldn't get a full-on Nordic girl to be.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that when Andre gets back here, because I brought it up to him. I'm like, did you see this, Andre?
Now, the woman is, I think I've seen her perform. She's very good and she's extremely attractive, but she's not Nordic.
Not
but I mean, there's a huge joke in there. I mean, she's 1/4 black, I believe. So the Hollywood establishment is afraid of this race swapping now to a certain degree, but they can't get off the crack cocaine completely.
They need the ESG points. And look, I mean, if you look at the media presentations of this young lady, who is very attractive, by the way, they've washed out her picture images.
Have they?
Yeah, if you go and you look at like today's casting announcement at Hollywood Reporter, it was something I mentioned in the 6 Minute Daily this morning. I'm like, this is very odd. You know, I mean, she appears much darker in a lot of other photographs.
Yeah, I went and checked out her other pictures.
Yeah.
And she is, she's not quite so pale.
Yeah.
She was apparently in The Last of Us, correct?
Yeah, I think Six brought that up last night.
Yeah, wasn't she like the little girl that got iced at the beginning?
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the actress, but it has everything to do with, now they're moving from gingers to blondes. But anyway, Waldy's Nuts says, Paul, didn't you mean Saved by the Shell?
Brilliant. Nice work. Full mark. Full mark. Saved by the Shell. That would be awesome.
Black Magnum asks, have I ever read the TMNT Power Rangers crossover comics? No.
What?
Because I'm not a Power Rangers fan.
That would have been very cool.
Power Rangers came out just a little past my time, and to me, I saw them as competition for TMNT.
Well, I mean, I loved how bad Power Rangers was.
And not only that, they turned around and made my Ninja Turtles bad. That's another reason why I hate them.
No, true. I mean, Power Rangers are with Sailor Moon. It's just the same shit over and over again, and it's just great.
I will never forget Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, ever.
Oh.
And that was when the people who made Power Rangers got control of the Ninja Turtles. And that is a prime example of people not understanding the franchise. In fact, that turtle that you just mentioned, Script, is one of the main things that came between Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. They did not agree on that fucking turtle. One wanted it, the other one didn't. Let's just put it that way.
There's so much bad out there. The people who rebooted Reboot,
the live action counterpart show,
and they turned it into Power Rangers.
Yep.
And they're going, where's the fucking computers? Where's all the great computer gags? And they I can't think of anything else that was so batshit different from the original that was unrecognizable. Like nothing, zero.
Yep.
It
had no sense of the spirit or soul of what Reboot was,
or the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it was just Power Rangers. Okay, thank you very much.
It was more Super Sentai or Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad with the with a reboot veneer. That's
Okay,
what it was.
I don't know that one.
He's not
That's
wrong.
with Matthew Lawrence.
I never saw that.
It was another network's response to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Tim Curry voiced the bad guy in it.
Spice.
What in which one?
In the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, Tim Curry was the voice of the bad guy.
Tim Curry's amazing.
It looked kind of like Shredder, actually.
The reboot.
Yes, Hexadecimal.
Oh, she was great.
Tony J as Megabyte.
Yes. Oh, what a great show that was.
Cryam says TMNT has suffered the 5 to 10% different rule done again after again to different itself over the years to get where we are. Yeah. And they didn't even have to. That's the sad part. Unlike Star Trek, they have all the full rights to do whatever they want. In fact, they have an easier time of doing things than they even did back when, now that everything's been sold to Nickelodeon. Because they used to have to go through certain kind of, if certain characters were created by this person or that person, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all lock, stock, and barrel now. So there's no problems with Bebop and Rocksteady or anything. So yeah, there's no excuse. None.
You know what? There's just changing topics briefly with all this changing stuff around. There's actually, I think, a comedy show around Rings of Power that, notwithstanding the fact that it's a comedy show itself, but a group of producers.
Yeah, it's called The Making of the Rings of Power.
Well, no, I mean, there's, you do a fake Tolkien world and you've handed the producers what they originally thought was a rich universe. And then they go, we got nothing to work with. We got to make stuff up and actually have a comedy show around the.
You know what's sad is that's basically what Dungeons and Dragons was, Paul, and it was actually really fucking good. Did you see it yet?
No, I have not seen it. Oh, the one with
the newest one with Chris Pine. Yeah, I was like so surprised at how decent it was. I was like, wow. And I was almost trying to actively hate it while watching it. I'm like, by the end, I'm like, I did not hate this movie. In fact, I had a good time with it.
I'm going to wait till it gets to streaming.
It's on Paramount Plus here in the US now, so.
I don't get it.
And it hit video this week, so it should be around.
I think it should be on Crave probably by the end of the week.
Later, yeah.
Hopefully. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get through so many other things.
I laughed a lot more than I thought I would too.
Okay. Well, no, that's good. I'm actually it's
kind of predictable at the end, but it's still decent.
Someone actually mentioned that the remake of Cinderella was one of the best that Disney did. So I'm curious to watch
the one that Branagh directed years ago. That's not so bad now.
When Branagh directed? Oh,
yeah. So he did the Cinderella live action version.
Yeah. I went, wow, okay. Everyone was saying,
but that was when they allowed them to actually take some liberties. That was before they made them do them shot for shot, beat for beat.
Oh, I see. And the girl is gorgeous.
Yeah, like Six says, we're almost there. Exactly. Wolven Weaver says the issue with TMNT is poor creative stewardship. Yes, that's exactly what I was just saying. Nickelodeon especially doesn't understand the original appeal and keeps trying to reimagine it. Yes. And the one success that Nickelodeon had was the 2012 series, and they killed it in the midst of its success to create the rise of the TMNT. And where has that gotten them? Nowhere. Tipping Barnes says, no Kirby the Fifth Turtle, not interested. Sorry.
I think that's Shemp. Shemp is the fifth turtle.
Lord. We got some big super chats here. We've got Ryan who sends in 50 euros who says
right.
That's a trade. Yeah.
Okay. Posted an article today claiming Little Mermaid was doing great. Then when you get the article, the author admits domestically it's doing well and tanking overseas. Wonder why the author would take the time to gaslight for Disney. Well, Ryan, I'm glad you asked that, because that's going to get us into our next topic here real soon. In fact, EBA Unit also sends in $50 and says, as a decade-long Little Mermaid fan, I am deeply sad, angry how Disney sabotaged the otherwise amazing update of a movie with mere stunt casting. Also disappointed how inflexible audiences, including Fendemes, are about giving Bailey a fair shot. Actually, EVA, I've not heard anybody say anything real negative about her, to be fair, in their reviews. In fact, that's seen it, all included on the channel here, praised her in the movie. So I'm not sure where people are. I've not heard anybody really dump on her.
On who?
Halle Bailey.
Me. I thought she sucked.
Oh, you did? I thought
Yep.
you didn't.
Nope.
I thought you said she was
I
decent.
thought she was terrible.
You're the only person I've heard say that she sucked.
Yeah, but I'm right.
You're probably right.
She didn't have a lot to work with.
Oh, okay. EVA
Should have
unit
taken a mime
says,
class.
also, I also feel it should be the Little Mermaid fans that pass final judgment on the movie, not casuals or fandom menace or international box office. There's a vocal minority that's being ignored here. Well, EVA unit, I don't think you're being ignored. In fact, you're being propped up, being fortified. People are out there fighting for you, including Disney.
Yep.
So you're not
Yeah, my
alone.
problem with Hallie's was more during her mute parts, but then again, that could have been a director issue. Where how did someone who's used to talking suddenly get used to being mute, as opposed to constantly going like, now I'm overacting, but I mean, not like, how come there weren't points where she just forgot that she can't get a word out and tries? So there's just this flatness to that performance, which, you know, again, the original animation, you could tell that she was trying to get things out, but couldn't express them. Where that was probably the most important sequence in the entire movie. And that is where she needed to up her acting game. I mean, could you imagine Dustin Hoffman? I mean, again, he's been in drag before, but you know, the number of quirks and ticks he puts into his performance. Watch Dustin Hoffman. He fills every single scene with ticks and movements and shit, and you go and you really go, wow, the guy doesn't just say the words, he adds just a ton of expression, and she added nothing. Again, that could have been the director saying, don't do anything, just be stiff, smile, and be cute. But
I just want to address EVA real quick and say the problem with your assessment is this. And I'm not saying you're saying this, but the way you say this makes it sound like you're saying anybody who doesn't like the movie couldn't possibly have been a fan in the first place. And that in and of itself is the inherent problem and why the fandom menace, or whatever you want to call it, exists in the first place, EVA. Because I'll tell you right now, all the people on like Toxic Femme and stuff, that's who this movie was made for. They didn't like it. In fact, they found all the additional shit insulting. They don't like the fact that they took away things from Ariel that made her a strong woman. And it's fair that you like the film, but you also have to understand that it's fair that there are fans of the original film who detest this movie, who don't even think it should exist in the first place, beyond the fact of the problems that they added to the table, right?
I think you need to view the movie completely in isolation of the original. It's so
that's a problem, is you can't, right? Culture,
no, you
you've been
have
saying
to.
that specific
no,
thing.
it's so old. None of the kids that are watching this movie have seen the original.
The problem is that it's not. Now, I don't know about that.
Well, few, very few.
Well,
that's my guess.
Okay, but maybe they have, maybe they haven't. It doesn't change the fact that the representation of them has never been more twisted than with this particular animation, you know, and I mean, it doesn't represent the action figures that they, you know, that their parents collected, or, and again, I would suggest that, you know, while not maybe a generational property, this film lacks a visual appeal. I mean,
I'm not arguing that,
but I mean, even kids get that. Kids will look at something and go, that looks terrible.
Yep.
I mean, and this is the great thing about kids. If they, you know, haven't been going to public school too long, they will tell you what what they actually think in very harsh and critical terms. They don't withhold information like, you know, adults do. So it's like I said, I did, you know, set aside the terrible human being that's involved in this project that I'm not fond of. Set aside, you know, some of the choices made in the representation of some of these characters. It just doesn't look good. and the animation
Yeah.
style is terrible.
And I've heard you and others point out that you really can't separate this from the original. In fact, it's
No.
like if you haven't seen the original, you can't.
I listen. You know, you put your executive hat on. You go, the other movie is 50 years older, or whatever, and you go, there's going to be a whole audience. Let's just
Well, how did that?
let's not screw this one up and go move forward.
How did that work out for Kathleen Kennedy as the audience decreased for each of the Star Wars films that came out?
Because the movies in of themselves were bad, and they were
Okay, well, and she willfully pushed away 50-year-old fans.
well, no. But I think okay, here's the difference. We talked about this already. I was the audience. I was one of many potential audience members for Star Wars.
Yep.
Littlest Mermaid is not an adult film.
It may not be a kid's film either.
But that's what I'm saying, because no kids
perhaps.
are going to see it. That's the other problem, Paul, is 63% of the audience,
Was adult.
the largest portion,
Yeah.
was 35 to 45-year-old
Yeah,
women.
that's interesting.
No, it's
No, I
not
think-
interesting. It's like they tried to reach into the nostalgia well. And you know, if you're a parent, you didn't have time for this film. It wasn't the film that you saw. And I would say that if you were to demographically analyze that female over 30 audience, you'd be able to pin down a whole lot of different things in their background.
Now,
well.
that being said, how much
Yeah.
of that older female audience actually brought a kid?
That's the thing, they didn't, Paul.
They didn't.
Over half of them didn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's exactly my point. 63% of the audience clearly
Yeah.
didn't bring kids.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is one of those weird things. I mean, the more you look at the demographic breakdown of audiences, the more you're like, oh wow.
But
You know,
I
this
also
really
understand
is-
where Paul's coming from the corporate side of things. I know why they do these things. but
Let's
yeah.
visit this next. Let's visit this next thought. Do you think that those people are going to go back and see the film? Is the Little
That I
Mermaid
think is the
reboot?
bigger thing, and we've been debating
Yeah.
about, because
You mean,
that's
is
one
there,
thing.
you mean, is there second viewing potential? Is that
Yeah.
Not really,
None.
no. And I think that's
None.
yeah, because women are not the same as men and kids. They only go to see a movie once.
right?
In fact, a mom's favorite thing would be, we already saw the movie once in theaters. Now you can wait till it comes on Disney Plus. I guarantee you that's what most moms are saying to kids if they do want to see it again.
That's right. It's coming to your phone.
But now we're terrorists. Well, we're not terrorists, I should say. Everybody else is, Paul. We're
Oh,
actually
I'm
off
a
the
terrorist. I tell
hook.
people
We're
I
off
didn't
the
give,
hook this time.
I told
It's
I tell people we didn't give our kids phones until they were in grade 8. They thought we were like terrorists.
Well, you're clearly a terrorist then. No, but you know, we're throwing around this word really nonchalantly, or whatever you want to call it, for a reason, because they are now. In fact, this comes from out of Korea. Black
no.
Mermaid.
Yeah, but now we're getting data. Everything else up to this point was not supposition, but
Conjecture?
conjecture. Yeah. No, I mean, again, you can't go against the data. I'm not arguing against data.
Well, as I was about to say, though, we're there. Everybody outside of the U.S. is being accused of raiding terrorism. Now, this is a badly translated article here.
Rating terrorism? Well,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, how big is Beyonce in Asian territories?
Bigger than Halle Bailey.
Yeah. So I think people pick and choose their stories based on clickbait.
Well, this
And she's
story
an
was actually
unknown.
picked.
She's an unknown. That's also problematic for global markets. Global markets like stars, which is
Well-
why they go to see every Sylvester Stallone movie
Hey, then you know what? They should have picked Lizzo because Lizzo's bigger than everybody.
in many ways. She could have been Ursula, but yeah, well, that's why they did The Wizard of Oz with Diana Ross, right? I mean, they swallowed the old pill and said, no, we can't just put an age appropriate a woman in this. Now, that being said, I'm trying to remember what's her name in the original Wizard of Oz? Was she a star by then?
Judy Garland?
Judy Garland. Was she a star by then?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain how big she was by then, but I know she was a kid actress.
Well, she was already 17, 18 when she took that role. That was the thing. The studio and everybody else wanted
Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
Right.
But
Yeah,
because she was
my
under
understanding was she
contract
was
and
not
everything
the
else.
big.
Yeah.
She was not quite the big deal. Certainly, she was more well known than Halle Bailey. But
that all aside, because the real point here was getting.
And that movie was a failure, by the way. The Wizard of Oz was a financial failure, and then they started replaying it on TV, and then it became huge. So it was not a success when it first appeared. So,
but yes, as I was saying here, we're not so much the ones in trouble this time out. We're off the hook, but everybody else is in trouble, according to Korea, and this has now been picked up by local outlets and even MSNBC. I think you said Culture had even cited this.
Yeah, actually came out and said that it was an act of terrorism, to not like this. So I was like, okay, way to go, PMSNBC.
Yeah, I know, and I seen you guys have been talking this up in the chat, so I've been trying to get to it. I apologize.
I love how these adjectives have been twisted around and are now meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, this is no different than using the Yahtzee term.
Yep.
Or the racist term, so we can add isms now to the.
Well, I mean, when the I think it was the British cycling body has now banned trans athletes from the women's cycling, and the person who recently won, who was a trans, said this was genocide.
But yet. Gina Carano was the one who was canceled, for trying to.
The heartburn I'm having from the hot sauce from my lunch, that is genocide.
So anyway, this article, and this is, like I said, poorly translated by Google Translate. So I'm going to do my best. But it says, Black Mermaid antipathy and appearance belittling. The Little Mermaid rating terrorism from the first day. Disney's live-action musical film, The Little Mermaid, has been receiving rating terrorism since its first day of release. The Little Mermaid was released in theaters nationwide on the morning of 24th, although the third screening has not yet completed. Rating terrorism and bad reviews.
Oh, I get what they did. They conflated rating terrorism with review bombing.
Yes, but it doesn't matter because other outlets have now picked up on this.
Mm-hmm.
Giving it a 1 point. And are spreading in the Movie Corner portal sites and social media. Rating section of the Naver portal site records 1.96 out of 5 points. If you look at the one line, there's a bit of like I said, badly translated, antipathy that Black Mermaid Princess Halle Bailey's appearance criticism, meaning people are criticizing her appearance. In the process, even radical expressions such as burnt fish, blackfish princess, and angel appear. I don't know what that one's supposed to be. Badly translation there. In the ratings section of the Multiplex Theater app, where the only actual viewers can leave ratings. So basically, it's just like Rotten Tomatoes. There are good and bad reviews. There is a tendency for detailed evaluations of the detailed elements of the specific scenes of the movie, meaning they talk about things in the movie. Little Mermaid has been hotly debated over the casting not only in Korea, but also in America, which is its home country. It was a criticism added to the antipathy toward the Black Mermaid and the rejection of Disney PC political correctness trend, which is being strengthened throughout hero films and animation. The hottest debate was the controversy over the destruction of the original. In Anderson's original fairy tale, there is no specific description of the race of the Little Mermaid, but they insisted on destroying the original based on The Little Mermaid in the 1987 Disney animation. In the anime, the Little Mermaid is represented as a white man with red hair. Again, badly translated. The controversy seemed to have subsided after The Little Mermaid was released throughout the world premiere preview in North America on the 8th. This is because Halle Bailey, who played Ariel, was praised for her acting and singing skills, and her portrayal of the Sea World was evaluated as high quality. However, in Korea, there is still strong antipathy towards The Black Mermaid. However, as it is the first day of release, it seems that the public's reaction to the movie will be confirmed only when the box office performance and evaluation of the actual audience are released. Little Mermaid is a live-action Disney film depicting blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. Okay, so this was in turn badly translated into a few other articles, like this one here from Diz Dining, where they flat out just use it right in their title here. Rating terrorism overseas response to Little Mermaid. And yeah, it just pretty much reiterates all the stuff we've talked about for the last few days here on the channel. It's in this article that we just read. And it also even gets into IMDb's fortification of the score here. So here we are only, not even a week into the film's release, basically. We already know that this movie's probably going to flop at the end of the day. It's going to probably cost the studio anywhere from $50 to $150 million, probably. Because it's dead overseas. It's a dead fish. Culture, you're our box office guru. Isn't that what your crystal ball is telling you?
Oh yeah, this thing is toast. I was predicting even before it opened that it would not get to $1 billion. Some people on this panel laughed at me openly, but I have a feeling that this thing's flopped. The international acceptance of this film is not there. You need the international audience to get to those $1 billion box office numbers. They tried to artificially prop up the UK's box office numbers for the weekend, which is a pretty sad 5 million pounds. And number one movie in Portland. Yeah, that. But it's just there's not a lot there for people. I mean, we've talked about the shortcomings and the failings. I mean, Paul even was quite blunt about his non-praise for this film. And and just analyzing the box office, it's very, very clear that this will struggle to get over $700 million.
I don't think it's touched 200 million yet, has it?
You know what? Here's the funny thing. Normally the box office numbers are already out in the world right now. In fact, they usually are out in the world by 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. They're really nowhere to be found for yesterday's numbers, which I find rather insane. I don't know if they're protecting those numbers or what's going on.
So basically, unless there's some miracle, this movie's not going to make any money, you're saying?
Yeah, no, there's still Tuesday numbers are still not out. This is crazy. But when you look at it, okay, so what was the most recent live action that was successful for Disney? That was Aladdin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Aladdin opened to $91.5 million on its weekend. Little Mermaid, competing similarly, opened to $95.5 million. Now, there's a difference in those dates, and we talked about it on Monday. There's a 4-year separation, at which point you already had near 30% increase in ticket prices, average ticket prices. You also have had massive inflation. When you adjust for inflation, these numbers look rough. The domestic box office for Aladdin, adjusted for inflation, it would be in today's money $405,600,000 at the end of its domestic box office run. To date, you're still under $120 million reported, because we don't have Tuesday numbers, for The Little Mermaid. Is it going to make another $300 million? I don't know.
When it only made $150,000 in China, according to PLY yesterday,
it did not.
Whatever.
Yeah, it did. I mean, and it made a pitiful $2.78 million over the weekend in China, and it adds that to its total. It's not. There's not interest in this film globally. It is being ridiculed in various ways. I would agree with that. I think the global population is more tired of this virtue signaling junk than even we are. But I mean, you consider this: the international box office for Aladdin, because this is going to be the thing that puts Little Mermaid in the over $1 billion. International box office for Aladdin, again, just 4 years ago, was $691 million. to date, for whatever reason, we still don't have Tuesday's numbers. You're looking at 68.3 million international currently for Little Mermaid. That's how ridiculous all of this is. You know, and again, I mean, you know, and the number that I gave you from Aladdin, that's not adjusted for inflation internationally either. I mean, when you start to adjust for inflation, these movies are embarrassingly underperforming.
Right. Well, I hate to interrupt everything right now, but we got 1,999 watching. So let's party like it's 1999 and hit that like button.
Yeah.
Paul, what's your assessment of all this terrorism business?
Well, you know, to me, I am overwhelmed by just this internet of commentary.
Oh, okay.
So many people have so many opinions on so many different things, and that to me has become the entertainment, not the actual products anymore.
That's true.
And I'm just fascinated by that, and so how this has been twisted. It's almost as if it's preordained. Like people can't help themselves but make something of it. And I don't even mean it in a cynical way, although some people will be doing it in a cynical way. It's just, this is what.
What the hell happened there?
I hit my microphone.
Oh, I said the ghost wants you to stand up.
So for me, as just an observer of this digital world and someone who's fascinated by the psychology of this organism, that's what it interests me is how this has taken off. I mean, the Little Mermaid itself actually did fairly well domestically, correct? No. Okay, that it underperformed domestically.
Just did the best domestically, but yeah, it definitely underperformed towards the expectations they had.
Yeah, they were shooting for 120 to 130. They missed by 3 million.
Okay,
on the 4-day. Again, it's one of those films they were very concerned with wouldn't be able to recover on a holiday weekend, but they did get a decent day on Monday.
And as most cases, it's the second weekend that's going to really be the tail of the tape, as they say, right?
Yeah, and here's the problem: a lot of competition enters the building.
Yeah. Some kick-ass stuff is coming this weekend. Well, again, never in the history of moviedom have so many people gotten interested in the business of the movies. It reminds me of when Forbes actually. Somebody commented on how the world of corporate governance and boards and who was president of what company, apart from maybe a few stalwarts, it was Fortune magazine that started turning all these corporate CEOs into stars, as a person, celebrities, let's call them. That had never happened before. Yeah, there were the Fords and and
Walt Disney and
yes. But so I've always been fascinated by that too. And now the general public through social media have gotten more interested in the business of the movie business and network business and streaming business than before. Before, they were just consumers. They turned on their TV, they watched the shows, they liked it or not liked it, and maybe there would be some what they called a water cooler buzz around one specific show. Now, just like what Forbes magazine did with CEOs. Now the internet is doing with Hollywood. What would we normally be talking about Hollywood 10 years ago? Like, right? I mean, we didn't care. We wanted to just go see the goddamn movies. That's what I'm fascinated about. This is really quite interesting. And there's no turning back on this.
No.
Hollywood has to manage this commentary organism.
Well, I would suggest, and other people in the chat have already suggested, that we are more entertaining than.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I have said that also,
and that's a natural draw. And just to add one more element of context, because I think it's important, we had $1 billion movie this year. It came out on April 5th.
It's me, Mario.
It cost $100 million to make.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Versus the Little Mermaid's $250 million reported production budget, which
That's the biggest problem right there, Culture, because this movie should be nothing more than a straight to Disney Plus movie.
Well,
and that's the problem, is it costs too fucking much.
Yeah, set that all aside.
If this was a straight to Disney Plus movie, people wouldn't be paying as much attention to it, just like Pinocchio and Lady and the Tramp.
Let Culture finish.
It's fine. The international box office for Super Mario Brothers ended at $727 million.
Wow.
That's
The international.
Just the international numbers.
Wow.
That's how you get to $1 billion. You don't do it with North America. You know, I mean, you can if you have something like Top Gun or something that's going to reach out and grab all of those kinds of audience members. But when you really look at the numbers, you need $600-700 million showing up from the international.
Well, Top Gun brought in the dads.
Yeah, well, and all us old guys, yeah.
Yeah, which to my point, it's a Crocodile Dundee syndrome, I call it.
Yeah.
And there's very Hollywood does not make movies for the dads, which is stupid. Like they're there. They want to go to movies. They've proven that they want to go to movies, but Hollywood hates dads and they hate middle America.
Oh yeah.
They absolutely don't like successes based on those things. And the Littlest Mermaid, I think, would have been more successful. I mean, apart from its length, it did not have a cohesive animation style. And Mario Brothers, I mean, had it in spades, right? I mean, there wasn't a frame in that movie that didn't look like it came from the game, right?
Yeah.
And the movie had a cohesive animation style.
Well,
as an animator, a fan of animation, that was my biggest complaint in many ways with Little Mermaid. It had no coherent style.
Good stories are required also. I mean, obviously. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, but when we talk about Mermaid, there was so much added to this film that was superfluous. Convince me that added to the story.
I can't.
Okay.
No, and the problem is here also is that none of it was controversial enough to even talk about, like with Beauty and the Beast, remember? Because the whole additions there was just the whole idea of the LeFou or whatever his name is being gay for what's his face? Gaston.
Yeah, they took out the Gaston song in the remake.
They just added to the gay love.
That was the best song in Beauty and the Beast, apart from the sappy ones, but I'm not into sappy songs. But I thought Gaston's song was one of the best things in the animation.
But my point there is that people were talking about that, right? There's nothing as salacious in this to talk about other than the casting of Halle Bailey, which at the end of the day, outside of Paul, who for some reason has a hard-on against her.
I thought she cuted her way through the movie.
No, for some reason, I didn't
say she wasn't charming. I just said
it's weird.
She's an actress.
In the alternate universe that I came from, you gave the movie a good review. But that aside, everybody else has seemed to enjoy her performance but hate the movie. You seem to enjoy the movie and hate her performance. Okay,
I gave the movie a pass.
I think it's kind of funny that they put #1 movie in the world because it's not. Fast X is the #1 movie in the world.
Well, and it's got more competition coming up here, right? We've talked about this, but Script Doctor, you've been quiet here. What is your response to this terrorism business? I know you said you already kind of disseminated that the Korean translation was misinterpreted, but doesn't matter now. The other outlets have picked up on it. So what's your take on this now?
Just a fantastic escalation to the term review bombing. I mean, that's what it is.
It's review terrorism now, Script Doctor.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The some of the media empires are going to run with it, and it's going to be as silly as the actual act. I mean, one of the things that's kind of fascinating is that if there is review bombing, there's review bombing on both sides. There's the positive review bombing and there's the negative review bombing. And this is probably why we've been seeing over the last few years a far more middling ratings to a lot of movies. I mean, one of the most average ratings on IMDb is like 6.7 out of 10. And it's like, that's kind of weird. Because especially for some of the movies that are quite regarded as classics and quite good, that usually I would probably say like maybe 5 or 10 years ago probably had a 7 or 8 out of 10. Now they're 6.7, 6.3, 6.4. Kind of weird, but that's the nature of the game.
Yeah. And even to the review bombing aspect of it, I'm not so sure that there really is any negative review bombing outside of to address EVA units super chat from earlier again. The only people who may be review bombing it are the actual fans, because I don't think anybody else gives enough of a shit about this movie to even bother in that respect. So again, and I'm not saying that you're wrong for liking the movie EVA unit. That's fine. But my point is I don't think anybody's really going out of their way to review bomb this movie outside of the fans of the original film. If there's any faction of people that are doing such a thing. Other than that, people are just reacting to it normally, and we have IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and all these other aggregators basically going to bat for Disney and deciding whose ratings count. And basically, if they're not a good rating, then they don't count. Which just to me it's funny how the review bombing or review terrorism is. I'm gonna start calling it that from now on, because they did, and it's just hilarious how redonkulous this whole thing has gotten. But anybody else have anything to say to this before we get to super chats here?
I'm good.
Likewise.
All right, Culture, anything else to add?
No, this movie's a flop.
And Six just shared with me the box office from yesterday.
Yay!
The Little Mermaid managed to pull in 11.5 million somehow, and Fast and Guardians are neck and neck at 2.6 and 2.5.
Well, yesterday was half price Tuesday.
Yes.
There's always a bump on Tuesday.
Yep.
Or discount Tuesday, whatever you
Yep.
call it.
And Senior Day.
Oh, that's right. I like going to the movies on Senior Day.
We only go on Tuesdays at 2.
That's right.
We get in for $2 and I get a free popcorn.
Yeah, no, I root through the garbage to try to find popcorn that people haven't eaten.
Well, of course you do. You go looking for carpet in the garbage too.
That's right. I got carpet, and I got carpeting, 25-year-old carpeting in our bin here if you want it.
Good carpet. All right, kids, let's see what you guys are saying out there. The Mouseketeers 627 says, since 2019, marketing for the Little Mermaid's Ariel's Black, watch it or you're racist. How is that in Hollywood shocked that people aren't into the BS? Well, what's even better yet in this instance is it's not us this time that they can point the fingers at. It's everybody else. And guess what? All this time they've been saying, well, you need to catch up with the rest of the world. Okay. Yeah. Irony, I guess. House Atreides says, Hale, can you explain if woke is fading on its way out? Why are all these corporations doubling, tripling, quadrupling, and with harder woke ads merch? House Atreides, you should do yourself a favor and watch our recent ESG videos. That will give you the answers you seek, for the most part. Yeah, I think we're a little ways away from it, but I wonder if the strike is going to expedite some of these things. What do you think, Script? Because you're in the midst of one now, and there's another one looming, isn't that right?
Yeah, it's we're coming up to a full month of the Writers Guild of America being on strike. Some executives are trying to say that they're saving money, but how do you save money when you're not making anything? It's a nice little contradiction there. And the Directors Guilds are in the process of negotiation. Their deal ends on June 1st, tomorrow. So hopefully, I mean, I don't want directors out of work, but hopefully they do strike a deal that works. And if they don't, if they're getting the same pushback that the writers are getting, they will probably go on strike, in which case you have two unions not working. And that puts a big halt on even more productions. So we'll have to wait and see. But the longer the strike goes, the more likely that some of the players that have damaged the profession over the last 3 years could be finding themselves not having their deals renewed or brought back when the strike is finally resolved. And that can be helped, because we might end up getting a nice little creative bump from
Yeah.
from
Do
our
you think that
content.
might help expedite the ending of some of this woke stuff, or do you think that's not going anywhere anytime soon?
I think it'll be a little bit tricky because in order for the studios to really go back to that, they have to start seeing more investment from such hedge fund management departments or whatever, investment firms or what have you. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. There's already a couple of the bigger studios like Warner Brothers and Paramount have started distancing themselves from those types of things because they're finding that they're getting more money without content that is required by those particular mandates in exchange for the investment. And it's more to a self-sufficient type of model, which is what studios need to be. They have to be they have to have a relationship with just them and their client and their customer base in order to maintain operations. And
If I may, I think they're actually doing the bare minimum. Like the How to Train Your Dragon is a good example.
yeah, well, this is the one way you kind of circumvent that. And the other part too is that if they want to sort of take that investment money and hit the bare minimum but still do a good story, they have to start
Right.
getting the writers that know how to pull that off. And a lot of those writers do not fit the check boxes that those investment firms would be pushing. And so that's where you end up having a negotiation where the studio can say, well, okay, if you want this in the movie, we need to make sure the movie sells. And in order to do that, we need to hire this person. And if they say, well, that person's not part of the DEI stuff, it's like, well, what? Do you want this to sell or do you want this to not? And then that forces their hand to the point where it's like, what are their intentions? And if they reveal the intention is that they want the company that they're investing in to fail, then that's like the company saying, well, then we don't want your money because we rather succeed than not. Like it's a whole crazy, tricky back and forth tactic between this, but it's not going to be able to last forever. The best case scenario is that smaller production houses that put out content and are able to get that distributed to broader audiences can grow, and then they can become a formidable player in the studio system. And if so long as they reject that type of investment and they're able to still make money and great content that people want, others will start falling in line because they will see, oh wow, look, this small company that like Blumhouse. Blumhouse is a great example. Of course, they might be subjected to what's going on now, but they were able to make several $100 million movies with a $10 million budget. And it was a great formula and it worked well. And people were starting to try and copy that to a degree. And then the pandemic hit and everything else kind of snowballed around that. So now you have to wonder, is Blumhouse going to return to that formula, which doesn't look like they are because they have a deal with Peacock now. That's way more money than they ever need to make some of the content for them.
I think they spent too much on their Exorcist reboots too, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the question is, well, who's the next player that's going to be able to come in with low budget hits that can make a lot of money and allow them to grow? And we'll have to wait and see.
We need to refurbish canon
because you definitely need some entity to be a trailblazer to say, look, we don't need this toxic investment firm to tell us how to run our company. We know how to do it. And here's the receipts.
Mikey, figure out how to get a loan so we can buy Canon.
Well, it's not quite the loan. What Canon pioneered amongst several of that group were the financing from multiple jurisdictions. Yes. So you'd get German financing, which is why you got the German guy in there, and it's something from France, which why is the French actor in here? So as a Canadian, it's one of the expertises that Canada built way before Hollywood did. And Hollywood for many, many decades made fun of the kinds of deals that Canadians were making, these global deals, which were very similar to Canon's deals and things like that, until it might have been the 88 writers' strike. I don't know. Then, and there was maybe a recession. And then suddenly Hollywood went, oh, we need to get the expertise of making these global deals. And they turned to Canadian producers who already had all the relationships with, it was a very funny changeover. I remember it well.
Well, there's that. And also Canon. We got boobs and explosions.
That's right. Yeah. But I guarantee you Canon in the end had probably no exposure on any of the films that they released by the time the movies got shooting.
What do you mean by exposure?
Well, I mean, they had none of their own scratch in it.
Oh yeah, no, fuck no. Golden Globus didn't spend any money of theirs on. No, never.
So I mean, that's really the way you make.
They were the definition of you never put your own money into.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to get tons of people who are going, well, Paul, I disagree with your opinion on my sitcom. I'm going to finance it myself. I'm going, dude, never finance your own shit ever.
Yeah, no. The thing that Canon where they went wrong is they were trying to produce 30 plus movies a year.
Yeah.
That's too much. And a lot of it was crap. Like that was the
Yep.
problem.
No, it was really crap, except for the odd good one. No, you're right.
Yeah. And then we got a couple of super chats for you before
Sure.
you leave here, Paul. Doug 1985 says, Paul Chato, I wish I had your positive outlook on things in life. You're a good man.
Thank you very, very much. I have been told by business people who have offered me sage advice, said your best attribute is your overwhelming optimism. Your worst attribute is your overwhelming optimism.
There you go. Then we got Tennille, who says, Paul, to your point, that has long precedent. 40K, for example, originally started off as a tongue-in-cheek pseudo-parody. There was even a character named Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau in the first edition.
Nice. Yeah, I love the subversive nature of the origins of so many of these properties. And then somehow they got ironed out. Someone put them onto an ironing board and just went, okay.
But if anybody's actually interested in the history of TMNT, I suggest 2 documentaries. Well, one's a documentary, one's actually part of a show. First, the documentary Turtle Power, and the show The Toys That Made Us. Those 2 things.
Yes, I saw that.
Cover the history of Ninja Turtles very, very well.
Yes, I saw that that's a good show.
And then Kareen says The Wiz had Michael Jackson too for Chato. Yes, he was. See, that's the thing, we were talking about The Wiz the other night because the original Broadway actress was claiming she had gotten a bunch of hateful mail and critiques and all that kind of crap, and we're like, we don't remember that. The only thing you remembered from that period was everybody was making a big fuss about Diana Ross being too old to play the part.
Yeah, and back then there were way more racists. And also people's definition of hate now is so skewed. I had an argument with someone on Twitter yesterday, and I said, well, where's the hate that you're getting from, you please tell me, when was the last time you got hate? Please tell me. And they said, well, on Twitter all the time. And I went, well, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, Twitter is the place for hate. Like, that's what it does. I mean, if you are shocked about people giving you the gears on Twitter, you're a moron. Seriously. If you go out in the real world and go to the hardware store, how much hate are you receiving? At work, how much hate? Amongst your friends, how much hate? I mean, if you're an asshole, that's a completely different story. But people have this really micro, what's the word? They're, micro tolerance to a bad glance. Someone didn't open the door for me.
Yeah.
I didn't get they didn't open the door. They obviously hate people of my kind. Well, their arms were filled with stuff. They couldn't do it. Yeah, but they should have. or the joke where some woman is mad that the door wasn't open for her, but then gets mad that it was because she's also a feminist.
Yeah, you'll have that. But I believe that's all for you, Paul.
Okay.
So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate
it. No, thank you.
Anything
You carry on. I got to go.
When do I get my next TV Guide damn video?
Oh, yeah. So I'm almost done. Like, it takes me weeks to do one. And
I figured 84 was going to be a hell of a year. So.
Yeah, 84. Well, they've got a Wonder Woman and the woman from WKRP together as large-breasted detectives.
Called Chestectives?
Chestectives?
Chestectives. Lonnie Anderson and
Linda Carter
together in that horrible Oh, there's some really amazing shows in 1984. So I just finished V the
Yes.
series was
Well,
in
that's what I was curious
1984.
is if television reflected what was going on in cinema, because in '82 it seemed to. So
Well,
yeah.
V started off as two very successful 2-hour
Yep.
TV movies,
And then a really weird TV show.
and then the TV show just didn't take off.
Well, it's because it didn't have Ken Johnson involved most of all, but yeah.
Yeah, well, they did have a lot of people pointing at blue screen flying saucers, you know, in Tokyo style. Oh!
I mean,
Tokyo
V is
monster.
almost, especially at that time when it came out, is almost like the definition of high concept and crushing itself under its own weight.
Yeah,
in a
but
weird
the
way.
lead girl, the lead bad woman, I remember to this day, she was great.
Mhm.
And
Well-
they did the the scene where they cut to the plastic head and the jaw moved out like mandibles, and she ate the guinea pig.
Yeah, the lady that played Diana was awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
they did an amazing job with the movies. It was like I said, when Ken Johnson was kind of pushed out, and when they got to the TV show, things got just wacky and stupid.
Yeah,
With
so
the TV show, it was exploring the hybrid of the human and the
Yeah.
V kid.
Jason Bateman has a show where he's, I think, something like 15.
Well, this would be the Hogan family, wouldn't it? Where that
No, it
started,
wasn't the Hogan
Valerie?
family. It was
Wasn't
pre-Hogan
that yet?
family.
Oh, was it? Oh,
It was
wow.
a failed show.
Oh, okay. So that would have been after Family Ties. You're right. Yeah.
No, way before Family Ties.
No, I mean the Hogan family.
Oh,
was
yeah, the
after
Hogan family.
Ties.
Yeah, there's some very interesting failures in 1984 stuff that. Wow, another Aaron Spelling show about a Tinseltown magazine publishing, and the stories that they dig up about the stars of Tinseltown. That lasted half a season. Anyway, that's coming soon. I'm going to finish editing it today. That took a long time, and it's been written, shot. Now it just has to be edited in between pulling up carpeting. So thank you very much for having me, as always. And we'll talk to you later, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Paul. All right. Let's get through some of these super chats here. We got Mecha J, who says, seeing Seth being involved with Turtles reminds me of his show Santa Inc. and how he acted when the show was facing a lot of criticism. Yeah, I expect he'll act the same here too. Let's keep going here. We've got
like Satan Inc.
Yeah. Rod Thunderheart sending in 55 Canadian. Holy crap. Thank you so much, sir. This is Hail Midnight's Edge in the morning. More See-Through Love. STL, See-Through Love 2, Pyro Caroline's Mind Splits, and Assassins with Power to Spontaneous Combust. People appear. See-Through Love 3, The Cuban Assassin, Honeymoon in Cuba, and Stumble on Plot to Kill Cuban President. Then the fourth one will be about the craft girls practice witchcraft with, and he goes on, whoops. Part 5, Invisible Femme Fatale, an invisible woman on kill spree. But is it Carolina? Then the See-Through Love 6 will be The Fighter. A pro wrestler wants legitimate fight fame in underground fight ring, but fighters each have powers. Wow. Well, you're giving away too much of the story, Rod. We already know where the whole franchise is going. No, I'm just kidding. Pick out See-Through Love. Pick it up today. I'm sure the mods will share the link in the chat from Mr. Rod Thunderheart. And thank you so much for the story outline and the support, my friend. Hopefully you're gear jamming today and having a good one. Douglas Nelson has been a member for 2 years at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much. Speaking of, he says, other than Ghostbusters Afterlife, what other franchises made an attempt to repair damage done to them? Oh, that's a good question. I think DC tried a couple times,
Picard
and they're still in the
3.
prices. Picard season 3 is a good example. Yeah. Beavis and Butthead kind of after, because I mean, I didn't hate the 2000s revamp series, but they clearly go over that with the new show. So I guess you could kind of consider that. Some people didn't like that so much. At least now they gave him a reason to be in the modern times. Trying to think. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm sure the chat will have some good answers. We got Pinochet's Helicopter Tours, who says, I don't know. I'd be okay with an economic terrorist label. You would, Pinochet. Big Daddy MRI sends us in a super sticker. Thank you so very much, Big Daddy MRI. It is, let me see here. It is a pear guy doing something, I believe. Probably something he shouldn't be. I don't know. Where is it? It is a pair saying, "You are amazing." Thank you so much, Big Daddy MRI. We appreciate that here at the
You're
channel and all
amazing.
your help. We got Big Daddy MRI also saying, "I'm watching the series Silo on Apple TV Plus. Outstanding show, very well acted, great story, not woke, in your face, excellent cinematography, great plot. Thoroughly enjoy this one, worth the watch." Well, there you go. Recommendation. I've heard of Silo, but I have not seen it yet. I got to watch some stuff on
Pilot was
Apple.
okay. Wasn't sold on the second episode myself, but the pilot was all right.
Jeffrey Hallam says, imagine being a curator for a railroad museum and setting 95% of the exhibits as trucks and cars because you like those more. Did you curate or usurp? Ah, see. That's kind of a good analogy for what they're doing. And then we've got Mikey. If you're in the house, Mikey, get your butt in here. Says, for the protection of Midnight's Edge Mead, I hereby accept getting fired, as it has come to my attention that I am brownface of white nationalism and won't see The Little Mermaid. No, Mike. You don't get off that easy.
You don't get to get fired, bro.
No, because you're a YouTuber and you finally admitted it. So you don't get off that easy. For those who may
Big
have
time
forgotten.
YouTube.
Yes, he's a YouTuber. There you go. Infinity Flare says, are there now going to different aerials walking around Disney parks and are there going to be two different aerials walking around Disney parks and cruises now? Is Disney going to start mothballing Aerial Classic? That's a good question. Culture, have you heard anything on that? I know I've seen the one they have running around there now that looks like the one you ordered on Wish.
Yeah, the Wish version of the live action Ariel is at the meet and greet at the moment. I'm not certain if they'll bring back the actual redheaded face actress that was doing it at the parks. The rumor was going back a ways now that they were also going to toy with the idea of converting one of the Little Mermaid attractions to the new version of Little Mermaid. I haven't been able to confirm that anywhere. So, but that was rumored. But as far as the face character, it's already out there. It's already on social media on Twitter. It's already been posted, much like the mustached fairy godmother yesterday from Disneyland. So there you are.
Indeed. And Andre is back.
Yeah, hey, get it back again.
Just in time, because I think we're losing script here in a minute or two.
Oh, and me.
And culture. We got Chris Bolts who says, but Elder Scrolls has orcs, and we all know orcs are a representation of black people, even though there is a Red Guard race who are black people. Yeah, I know you're being sarcastic there with that whole thing. God, that was that long ago now, wasn't it? Like 2 years ago they said that. Abdulio says, Bethesda likes to play loose with its lore. It's extremely frustrating, especially when they got Fallout, which had consistent lore before. There you go. Then Dark Eagle 1917 says the Strain was a good take on a vampire mythology. I'm trying to remember the Strain. It sounds familiar.
I remember that it was based on a comic, and I believe Guillermo del Toro was involved with the series. Yeah. I never actually saw it, but I heard good things about it.
Yeah, same here. As soon as you said Guillermo, then that rang a bell. Yeah. Abdulio says Bethesda likes to play loose with its lore. It's street. We just got this one.
Yeah, we just got that one.
Must have sent. Oh, I didn't. Okay, this is why. Tennille 89, aka Dislikes Pun, says called vampires when they burst into flames. Yeah, pyres. Got it.
That's some pun right there.
Yeah. Andrew Pitko says, speaking of post-apocalyptic TV series, what would an adaptation of A Canticle for Leibowitz look like, and how would it do? I don't know. Anybody?
Script.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that story.
Neither am I. Unfortunately, this one is new to me, so I regret that I cannot comment on it. But I guess
We are
from the
uncultured.
context of the question, it has to be some post-apocalyptic TV series. And if the source material is fine and they are respectful in adapting it, then I presume that it has every potential to be an excellent TV series.
A post-apocalyptic science fiction novel written by Walter Miller back in 1959. Centered in a Catholic monastery in the desert of southwestern United States after a devastating nuclear war. The book spans thousands of years of civilization as it rebuilds itself.
Oh, okay. Now that sounds very cool.
Does sound amazing, right?
It does
Sounds a little
hell yeah.
foundation-y. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it sounds better than Foundation. Well, at least it sounds better than Apple's Foundation. Don't get me started.
Yeah, never heard of it. Ministry of Wrong Thing says, I love how the shills have coped themselves into declaring the rest of the world is more racist than the West. Lovely display of self-own on their own ideology. Yeah, I was just saying how it's funny how they keep telling us to be more like everybody else. Now they're telling everybody else, people are more like them. Y'all are a bunch of racist terrorists.
Yeah. Dude, the copium has been flowing a lot lately. Have you guys noticed that? I mean, it's like with all of these projects, and their utter failure and flop, and yet you just march out, a Fast X movie and you're, trudging away towards $700-800 million. And you drop this mermaid thing in the ocean and it can't swim. It's just
it doesn't even float like a turd. At least a turd floats. Commandant VHS says John Cena and Jackie Chan are in the upcoming movie Hidden Strike. What do you think of that? Oh, it's the first I've heard of it.
Action comedy.
John China in a Chinese action film? Okay.
But that should work. You'll be right at home.
Yeah.
That feels like propaganda made for a movie.
Jackie Chan's the straight man and John Cena's the goof.
I like that better when it was
work.
called Rush Hour, but anyway.
Well, I think it's probably more like The In-Laws, with Peter Falk
Same
and
difference.
Alan Arkin. That's a great movie. Go watch that.
Go watch that instead. Not the remake, yeah. Because it was Michael Douglas, and who else was in the remake?
Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks, that's right.
And Albert Brooks is good, though. But, yeah, that was not one of his better ones.
Yeah, that was kind of a... Why did they remake this kind of thing? Mario Trillo says, my heart goes out to you, Tom. I normally enjoy your pain, but this is a bridge too far. Rip common sense. Well, as Script Doctor says, it's no longer common sense. It's super sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I just... With this Ninja Turtle thing, man. Yeah. Anyone watch the 2003 or 2007 movie? Yeah. I've seen both. I haven't seen all of the 2003 series because it goes off the fucking rails. They literally have 2 different season 4, I think it is. Because they had competing ideas of where to go with it. Yeah. But anyway, the 2007 movie was good, but my only complaint about it was the problems that this movie is exacerbating. I didn't like all the kitty stuff in it. I didn't like all the mutant mayhem bullshit in that movie, and I'm not going to like it here either. I thought Patrick Stewart was a piss poor villain. It was another one of those. It was almost like a proto Marvel villain. Because he's a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy. So yeah, the coolest part of the 2007 movie was the rooftop fight between Leo and Raph. That was bitchin'. Robert Kitchick says you're still talking about Blackfish Girl. Why? Well, it's in the news. We're terrorists.
We're even international.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Now this is on you now, Andre.
Yeah. That was my fault.
It's all your fault. Because Script, I think, is okay.
Yeah,
It's
understood,
considered
because
North
I
America.
didn't see the movie, and neither did anyone else in Norway.
Script is safe because he's lumped in with North America, even though he hasn't seen it. That's not an act of terrorism, I guess. St. Michael Archange says, asks how Sadie is doing. Sadie is doing well. She's got an operation coming next week. I will do my best to give you guys updates on that. And I want to thank everybody who has been donating and sharing the GoFundMe. Thank you so much for helping us out. We appreciate it. And Sadie is just not enjoying the cone of shame. And she still doesn't like taking her meds. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks here, she won't have to deal with that much longer. So Thank you so much, guys, for all the help you guys have given me. And I know you guys have been waiting for an update, so I wanted to give you one. Nylon Riot says they have take Gen X nostalgia, who they want to take their kids, but when parents are upset at the radical change, get called racist. Make it make sense. Yeah. Well, and it's just sad because I'm reminded of, like, how much my dad loved, the 78 Superman film and the 89 Batman film, even though that was not his Superman and Batman. His Superman and Batman were George Reeves and Adam West, but he was able to find things to enjoy in them. And I could tell his enjoyment also, it, fed into me. And you're right. I think it's a big deal. And if without parents being involved in this stuff or caring, I don't think the kids are going to care so much. I mean, that's not going to be for everything. Sometimes kids find shit on their own and like it despite their parents. So there you go. Nobody else has anything to add to that one?
I think you summed it up perfectly.
Waltman says, confirmed Bud Light's no longer #1 beer.
It's nice to have it confirmed, but I do believe
yeah.
it was like one of those things that people just kind of like knew, like water being wet and stuff like that.
Yeah. #1 selling beer in America, technically, yes. For a while.
And therefore the world.
Well, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
A Tipping Barn says, yeah, how many people compare the Thing to the Thing from another world?
Not many. John Carpenter's The Thing is very
and
much.
This is
John
going off of
Carpenter's.
what Paul was saying with the whole Little Mermaid thing. Here's the difference, though, and I brought this up before. Like, when they brought out King Kong in 76, it's not like a large portion of the population that was younger than 30 had ever seen the original King Kong. It wasn't on TV all the time. Home video wasn't a thing yet. Unless you were able to own a print of it somehow, chances are you probably never seen it when you walked in to go see the 76 King Kong. Nowadays, we live in a world that has had VHS, DVD, such like that, cable, growing up our entire lives. We know Ghostbusters by heart. We know Back to the Future by heart. We know The Little Mermaid by heart. So it's a little difficult to squeeze one of these past us now. Look at another example, though, would be from going from The Thing to the 2000, 14, 15, whatever year it was a little earlier than that. Help me out here, Andre. The other Thing they made that was technically a prequel.
Like the 2011, I think it was.
Okay, 2011. I knew it was somewhere.
Yeah,
in that
Team
region.
Norway was a big.
See, now there's a better example.
But of
How many
course
people? Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, no, I was just like saying, that was the one with the Norwegian team. But of course, they sent an American into the camp so everyone could conveniently speak American for the audience.
Which was dumb.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but who talks about that remake or
Nobody.
or whatever?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Forgotten.
Exactly, and it's been nothing but compared to the John Carpenter thing, right? So I get your point here, Tipping Barn, but I counterbalance it with a 2011 thing. If that makes sense. And it doesn't sound like anybody disagrees with me, so moving on. Caffeinated Me says, I watched Return of the Jedi on its original release. I will not introduce my son to Disney Star Wars. Same for any other franchise that follows the same path. Well, that is the way, I guess.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yes, indeed.
And good news
Culture
for you.
is leaving us, and I believe Script is as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you guys. Plug your stuff on the way out. Culture?
Yeah, I dropped 2 videos today. One of them is being suppressed, for lack of a better way of putting things, and it's because it discusses some stuff that they really don't want you to know about. How all these companies are in bed with an organization that is radically trying to force things in schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. In the list of companies that are helping to facilitate this and are funding this include even Lego brand. And I bring out something that you aren't aware of amongst many things you're not aware of about an organization that's very shadowy that I think everybody should be well aware of. And it's Disney, Target, Kohl's, you name it. They're all in bed with this organization.
Yeah. I just want to say that the true Lovecraftian horror aren't aliens. It's what happens behind closed doors in high finance and stuff like that. And that's kind of the stuff that you're exposing. So I agree. Everyone needs to go and check that video out, help share it, because these are the kind of things that, like the ESG stuff that we've been covering here, it's important that one knows.
Yep. So I appreciate that support. And of course, you can find me every day on the 6 Minute Daily on weekdays. And you can find me here regularly as well. I feel like I see these gentlemen all the time, and I am better for it. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
And Script, what do you got going on?
Well, tomorrow I'll be dropping on my Patreon some points with regards to pitching and the pitching practice. If you're a writer who is either a little bit experienced or just getting started and wants to be prepared for pitching, I'm doing this post because one of my clients asked about this, and that was something I realized I hadn't really addressed, and also because Film Courage did a video on it, and a lot of the information is contradictory to what's actually I've experienced in my 17 years in the industry. In addition to, you can go to it right now and read my Legend of Conan script review, where I also have a hyperlink towards the top, where if you want, you can go directly to Midnight's Edge's video here on YouTube on the production history with regards to Legend of Conan video. And yes, I reviewed that screenplay and highlight the pros, the cons, and the fact that Will Beal did kind of lift, and I'm using that word politely, better scenes and better moments from other movies to incorporate into Conan. Yeah, go check that out there. My Patreon has a 7-day free trial at the Patreon tier, the base tier. So if you don't want to donate, which is not a problem, you can at least peruse and see the back catalog of posts that I have put since the Patreon started. And if that is something of your fancy, I welcome your patronage.
What a bargain. Well, thank you so much for that, Script. And you also have a super chat that came in here, and also joining us, the one, the only YouTuber I know, Mexican Iron Man.
I'm not a YouTuber, but I am here to endorse Script Doctor's Patreon.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Totally
especially the Star Trek articles.
Yeah, they're getting good traction over there.
Indeed. And thank you so much, Script. And ActionCon asks, regarding the Kasparov versus Deep Blue chess match, do you think it was wrong for Kasparov to participate in the event?
No, I think it was brilliant that he did, because it proves two things. Number one, computers are very restrictive. And number two, chess is not a game of real strategy. It's a game of memorization and thinking ahead and knowing that there are very, very, very limited variables with every move you can do. So it's a very calculated game.
There you go.
But you teach an AI that a means to master the game of poker, that's when you have to be in trouble.
Yeah, that's why I keep losing video poker.
Yeah, so for everyone doing AI, there's your challenge.
Andre,
Yeah.
I have a complaint.
Oh,
Tom is harassing me.
what did he send you?
I didn't
The
put
elf
this up.
costume?
Well, no, I accidentally typed that I was a YouTuber on Twitter, and I was doing it really fast on my iPhone, and I meant to put the word "not" in there, and ever since then, Tom has been.
Make
You're
Asylums
most
Great
wanted to
Again
that one.
is very upset right now, Mike, because you are his favorite YouTuber.
Yeah, that's a challenge right there. Well, we'll see what we can do to resolve this.
But thank you, Script.
How about if we add a community note saying that Mexican Iron Man is in fact not a YouTuber?
Ah, perfect. Good job, Andre. Good job.
Nobody reads
There we
those
got
anyway.
it. Yeah. Tom gets his tweet, and Mike gets his community note. Everyone wins.
There we go.
Good problem solving there, gentlemen.
Thank you, Script.
No, but on a
Thank
serious note, I do want, before you walk out the door, I've been with Script since day one, almost day one. I think it was Patreon, and it's fascinating reads. If any of you are out there, now is the time, especially with the writer strike on, to get inside the mind of a writer. This is it. I say this is it. So
Well,
subscribe to
thank you
Patreon.
so much for that. And yeah, more posts will be coming, of course, and also more content on YouTube as well as scheduling is kind of freeing up. But for now, I have to go. I do have a quick job interview-ish of sorts with a colleague. And so feel free to follow me on Twitter to see what I'll be doing next. And stick around for this one. And is there going to be a 4K for you later, Tom?
Yeah, we've got a few things to discuss, so definitely 4K for you later. So thank
Cool.
you.
I'll be sure to be listening in. Have a great one, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
So, Mikey, we got some more super chats here. Let's get through them. You're the super chat guy. Day Tripera says, this is not new. New York Times published an article calling my country, Argentina, racist because there's no POC in our soccer team when we won the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, of course. You won the World Cup, didn't you? And it was with a problematic and not sufficiently progressive team. You needed to diversify more, because then you would do even better than winning, right? Is that where they're going with? Fantastic stuff.
Hey, as someone who's met a lot of Argentinians, newsflash, they're not that dark skinned in general. I mean, almighty. Oh, these people who criticize other people are infuriating. Well,
Yeah.
that's my job. That's why I'm Andre. You missed the super chat I sent to myself earlier.
Oh, okay.
I just want to announce that it's okay if you have to cancel me and fire me, because I've now learned that.
Oh, no, we read that.
Was Andre there for that?
Oh, no, you're right. He wasn't.
He wasn't. Andre, I'm the new. Wait, what am I, Tom? I'm the brown. Wait, shoot. How'd it go? I forgot. I'm the brown face of white nationalism, Andre.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, does that mean you're fireable?
Yes. Oh, wait. Yes, because of the white nationalism part. So you can fire me now.
No, I think we're just gonna have to. I think we're just gonna have to place you on leave.
Okay.
Like
Okay. There we go.
you can
All
come
right,
back
until
at
my
any
current
time.
work projects are completed, I'll be on leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
For those who may not know what Mikey's talking about, he's talking about the rise of Latino white supremacy.
As reported by the New Yorker.
You can't make this shit up. Well, you could, and if you're the New Yorker, I guess, but I mean...
I'm curious, does the rise of Latino white supremacy have anything to do with raza, or no?
What do you mean? The rise of
Never
what?
mind. I don't think that the New York Times thought that, or the New Yorker thought that far.
No. The whole raza thing? No. That would require insight, Andre.
Yeah, exactly. And I do not think that the New Yorker has that.
Nope.
No, this is revolved around the shooter because the shooter wasn't white. So,
Right.
of course, he's acting like a white person.
Right.
That's the...
Well, that's why I started going camera on YouTube. Did you know that? That it originally dates back to my days with Geeks and Gamers, which was one of the first channels I ever subscribed to. And I was getting called out because they thought I was a fake Mexican front for Jeremy and those guys.
You mean you weren't?
No, that's why I started going camera on to show that I had brown skin. They said, they said, well, he's not really Mexican. He doesn't have an accent. Well,
Yeah, because all Mexicans have accents.
Right.
Guess what? That's not even Cheech's real accent.
Exactly.
He sounds more white than most of us do.
Yep.
I have to read that article about the Latino white supremacy.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah, I saw. Thank you. Like, oh, I
heard your reaction. I'm like, that's going on, Andre.
Yeah, and again, my sympathies to Argentina and their football team, and congratulations as well, because they're kick-ass in football exactly the way they are.
Even when you win, you lose, right? Andrew Pitko says, reminds me of Rick and Morty. I'm comfortable being called a Nazi. You think there's some other word that's going to hurt my feelings, right? I mean, at this point, like, fuck it, whatever. Call me whatever you want.
No, but that's like the thing. When they use these words, I mean, I heard I've heard people like say this to me in like real life. There's like, I don't mind if I'm being called a rossicist because the word has now been so watered down that it's completely useless. So yeah, fine, whatever, call it me because everyone is
Right.
anyway, according to you.
Well,
I mean,
it's kind
that's
of like
how you make your words lose their power.
exactly, kind of like with the whole terrorism thing, right? And I know, like Script and you are right, it is just a bad translation, but that didn't matter to MSNBC or
No, no, they
Disney
jumped right on
Dining.
that.
They jumped right on it, and they didn't even bother doing any kind of cursory research at all or thinking about it. Like Script Doctor and you just looked right at it, and you're like, oh, they're misinterpreting bombing for terrorism.
Exactly.
That don't matter. It sounds better to them. They found
Yeah.
a new word.
They did a Google Translate and they said, oh, look at that word that just came up here. It evidently means something else, or it has the word is probably the same, but there's probably different
I think,
associations with it.
no, with reading that, because we read it out loud here on the stream while you were gone, Andre, and no, Script and you're correct. If you read it, that's what it's saying basically, is it's being review bombed, but the Google translation translates it to terrorism instead of bombing. So they didn't even take that into consideration when they wrote these articles or when MSNBC reported on it. Never took it into consideration.
Gosh, Tom, you're acting like as if the media would lie to me. God.
It's not even so much that they lied to us. They're just that fucking stupid.
Well, there's a little bit that they would lie. I mean, because that's kind
like
of
I
like
said,
that's a bigger issue here. It's like how you're supposed to have any kind of trust in any media when you just, especially the entertainment media complex that's running cover for this movie. And this is what like really annoys me. Everyone saying, "Oh, this movie is doing amazing." No, it isn't. This movie is going to lose. Mike, how much do you think that The Little Mermaid is going to lose Disney? More or less than 100 million?
Oh, good God, more. Oh, that's not even a no-brainer. I was like going to try to do the math. Hell yeah, it's going to be at least dude. It could have this. It better have the same weekend it just had 4 weekends in a row, just to maybe break even.
In order to break, like I did, like some math myself, and just to give a preview of the next video, I think it's going to have to be basically be able to match what Super Mario did domestically in order just to break even.
What's the budget? 250, 225,
250 that they will admit to plus
all right,
marketing.
250 that they'll admit to before anything, and we know
But
that
the big issue here is international. I don't think that this movie is going to do more than 200 million internationally. 250 if we're generous.
So
Well,
that's
being
400
generous.
with a marketing budget, at least maybe 450 times 3x is what, 1.2 billion?
I don't think it needs to do that, but I do
I think it needs
that
to do at least 800.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to need to do 800, and let's just say that that it tops up at 250 million internationally, which is extremely generous because it's not going to get to that.
Nope.
That means it has to do 550 to 600 million domestically to make up for it, to break even.
Yep.
How the hell are anyone saying that this was a good opening weekend? It wasn't. It was awful.
Man, Disney can't afford all these losses. These, I mean, they're going to run out of subsidies from the parks at some point.
Yeah, as you pointed out, it basically only opened about half as good as Mario did. And I think you brought up both in the upcoming. I don't know if you're going to stick with the Top Gun analogy or just Mario, because they both work. Because you're right. In one sense, it doesn't have to make as much in the U.S. to be profitable, but it still has to make well over $700 and some million at least.
Well, basically,
I think
to break even.
We got to stick with the Mario analysis. You know why? Because guess what? Guess what CEO credited Universal and Mario with doing so great in the box office? Bob Iger.
I believe that was Iger, and that was during his last earnings call. Did he not like start that with crediting Universal and saying how this is good for Disney or something?
Yes, what a more Andre. That's like what would you? That would be like Bud Light coming out saying, "Well, we know that people drink beer, but they just don't want to drink our beer." I mean,
but we are really happy for Coors, and we think that Coors' success in this matter is a good sign for us. Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of like what he was saying.
Exactly. And here's the thing. This is how arrogant they are. The fact that he said that to the institutional investors, that wasn't even the retail shareholder call. That was the fact that he said that on the institutional thing. He basically was trying to say, well, Mario Brothers proved that the box office and the theater going experience is strong. And of course, Bob's thinking that he's got his Little Mermaid and his Indiana Jones in the back pocket. And that sets the backdrop for the success that they're going to have, which right now they're not having. And I can't wait to see what happens. You think this is a shit show? Wait till Indy comes out. What was the budget on that?
Oh, well, what we know of, around 300 plus.
Jesus.
In reality, Avatar level.
That company is stupid.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Blue Tiger says terrorism. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Yes, I get that reference.
Indeed.
IP pipeline looks terrible for the rest of the year. LDOT, the writer's strike has stuffed anything new. What can Disney do at this point? Don't need to start selling things now. Everybody keeps coming back to this starting to sell things now, starting to sell things now, starting to sell. No. The whole problem, well, even if they did, they have other things that we don't even know about or give a shit about that they would sell before they ever were to part with anything worth a shit.
Well, they ain't selling real estate.
And even that would probably dump some like useless real estate before they'd ever dump any of their IPs.
They don't have.
This is all about ESG, and this is all about getting loans and stuff. Is really what it boils down to, right?
Yeah, but here's like the thing, because because this pertains to this question. Because they can't do anything new. What can they do at this point? Well, basically, just to answer this question, what they can do and what I think they should do is scrap everything that's not already filming, and even the stuff that's filming, they need to look at again. Fire everyone, fire all the writers, and restart everything. Abandon Phase 5 as it is and do a new one. Same thing with Star Wars. Abandon everything, clean house, get talented people in and start over, and then the market will give you another chance. That's what they should do. But I think that the big problem here is Hulu, because from what I understand, Disney has committed to buying Hulu, which costs more money than they can afford, and they're not going to get anything for it, not really. So, Mike, is there any way for Disney to back out of this Hulu deal? What's going on with that?
Funny you should ask me that, because I've been contemplating this a lot the last 2 or 3 days, which, first of all, they have a put option call, so they have to pay something to Comcast. They have to pay something. Now, the question is, will that something be 9 to 12 billion? Or, interestingly enough, in an article that came up in an interview, in an article that came up recently, Comcast was cited. I think Comcast put some seeds out there that they actually want like 15 to 23 billion for that 1/3. I don't know where they're going to get the money for this. They have an average of 10 to 11 billion dollars of cash in the bank on average on any given month of any given day. If you take a look at their total assets, the current assets minus the current liabilities, that means all the cash they got minus all the expenses they got on any given month. They have about 207 million to 300 million on any given month.
Well, they're getting to the point their stock ain't worth the shit, so they can't even use
stock's
their stock.
dropping. And then what are you going to do, Tom? Can you imagine telling Comcast, yeah, we're going to sell Hulu, but we got to pay for it in stock, and
it's worth a shit.
And well, right now, based upon the latest price, it'd be worth 15% of all Disney stock in order for them to pay Comcast what they owe them for Hulu.
So basically, they would have to give their largest competitor 15% of the company. That's insane.
And that 14.89% is more than, get ready for this one, folks watching at home. Put your seatbelts on for this. I added up all the stock that BlackRock and Vanguard have through their different funding vehicles, because there was multiple vehicles. Their entire holding of BlackRock and Vanguard is less than 14%. So that means Comcast would have more stock than anybody at all, period, institutionally on the board. That means they probably get, what, Andre? If you're the largest institutional stockholder, you'd want 2 seats on the board, 3, 4?
How many seats are shareholders?
There's 11 right now.
At the board?
There's 11? Yeah,
oh,
so
3.
3, right?
Yeah.
Can you guys imagine, just even the YouTube world, like your largest competitor, you letting them control, you letting them basically tell you what's going to happen. This is your largest competitor in entertainment, because let's remember, Comcast has their own streaming service now. Comcast Hulu is the content of Comcast Peacock stuff, NBC mixed with, Disney crap, right? And then the theme parks, and then the movie studios, and look at what they just did with the Mario Brother. I mean, that's a nightmare. Iger is literally in a nightmare. What's he gonna do? Borrow more money? Right now they're what, 100 billion down?
Well,
What's he
maybe
gonna
we
do?
can give some more of the company to BlackRock.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, if they borrow 10 billion to pay off Hulu or to buy this Hulu deal at 8%, right now the commercial interest rates right now, I mean, where are they going to get 8 or 10%, Andre? You think more or less, probably globally with the global commercial rates? So they'll probably get 8 or 10%. So 8% times 10 billion. That means that they would need to start making $800 million a year in order to afford just the debt service for holding.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the thing that really gets to me, because if you were to do something like this, give up 15% of your company, it would really have to be worth it. But they're getting Hulu, which around the world comes bundled with Disney Plus anyway, by way of Star, as anyone who's watched our Surfshark spots know. So you're strictly talking the domestic markets. Then you'd basically have to earn 800 million domestically alone for a service that many right now have anyway. And how the hell are you going to be able to monetize that? Just look at what they did with Fox. They basically they monetized a couple of the brands there, but on the whole, they bought it only to shut it down. You can't do that with Hulu, and you'll be basically paying the combined of what they paid with Star Wars, Marvel, and then another Marvel on top of that for them. Well, basically, they'd be paying the same for Hulu as they did for Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Marvel combined. Does Hulu have the revenue potential of those three combined? I'm going to say
not in this
no.
current state. No, it used to. That's the problem here, Andre. You've pretty much said everything I was going to bring to the table here, except for a few points, and that is that there at this point, it's not worth anything for Disney to buy, but they're stuck having to buy it because you're right. What would they do with it if they did get it at this point? Basically, what their stars is, the Star Network thing is out throughout. It's just the adult stuff because Hulu has jack shit. They've got Handmaid's Tale and a couple other originals, but other than that, Hulu's claim to fame, why they're so big in the U.S. and why they were always second to Netflix until the other services started coming into the fray, is because they had the television shows the day after they aired for almost every single network. I don't know if that's the case anymore, because guess what? I haven't checked into Hulu in God knows how long, even though I pay for it every month, because if I cancel it, then my price goes back up if I want to get it again. Because I'm still grandfathered in from way back when I paid only $6.99 a month for it. I think it's $9.99 now, but they still give me a deal. But what'll happen is it'll just be combined with Disney Plus, and whatever shows they have on there, like Handmaid's Tale and stuff that are still going, that are popular, they'll continue those. But they have mismanaged Fox to this point that they have no need for it, Andre. You're hitting the nail on the head. I don't even know why they really have any of this crap. They have not done anything remotely adult oriented, even though they know that most of their audience is adults. And something like a Hulu or something where they could, utilize some of these Fox properties, which they're going to with Aliens and Predator. But those are like the only two that they've really paid any attention to, other than Avatar, which is really kind of its own thing too, which you guys have talked about, to where it's like, at this point, what have they done with Fox? Nothing. There's been a few Searchlight movies, but there haven't been nothing to really brag about. The last big Fox movie that they had was basically that Ryan Reynolds movie, the video game one, from my memory.
The real life for Player One, or
the real guy, or
real guy. Yeah,
whatever the hell it was. I don't remember what it was called. But
I never saw it.
It wasn't bad, but Free Guy. That's what it was. Thank you, Neil.
Free Guy. Oh yeah, I knew it was some guy.
Something like that. Yeah, it's basically GTA the movie.
I think a real GTA movie should be R-rated or X-rated even. But
true, but even at that point, they've only released PG-13 stuff. I don't think they've released an R-rated movie since they bought Fox. Deadpool would probably be the first one.
Yeah, and we can thank JPEG for that. and it remains to be seen if Iger will allow that kind of stuff to stand. But anyway, with everything happening at Disney at this point, I'm amazed that Iger is still allowed to remain in charge, because not only is he the captain that ran that like side swiped the iceberg, he's hit every other iceberg dead on as well.
Well, he's still in
Yeah.
a honeymoon phase, I guess. At least with the board until things heat up. But I don't know, man. I don't know if this thing hits 85 or below. That's thermonuclear in many ways, let alone below that.
Where is it right now?
It is at. I just had it up here. I'll share it on screen.
It was hanging around in the 80s last I knew.
Yeah, it is at 87.91.
And goes nuclear at 85.
Well, I think it would. I mean that.
And how much has it? How much has it dropped in the last year?
I mean, if you look at it, I mean, here, look, watch. Let's just go back here. Let's play with this thing for a little bit. Let's see. Let's go back to what? March 1st, 2020, in the middle of COVID. What was it there? 96. I mean, good God, Chapek was fired, and it was way higher than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the stock is. I mean, I don't know. What is this? This is February 1st, 2020, March 1st, 2020. Good God, get this. So the stock was higher when we were in the middle of COVID, and almost everything was shut down. Cruise ships stopped. Movie
Well, that's
theaters.
because everybody was signing up for Disney Plus. That's why.
Well, the speculative value of Disney Plus, but that's the point of the matter is that now everybody who's wanted to sign up for Disney Plus has signed up for Disney Plus. Theaters are open, parks are open, cruise ships are moving, and the stock's never been lower.
That's a problem, because right now they don't have anywhere to grow, do they? They have nothing that can be expected to, in the foreseeable future, to get them out of their current rut.
No,
And
because
that's what
they
that guy
buy
in the
stuff
call
and
was saying.
It's like what
go
Tom
ahead.
says. They buy shit and then they don't do anything with it, like Muppets, Fox, right, Tom? They buy shit. And
No, they haven't utilized it all.
Pixar.
They've been sitting on the Fantastic Four and X-Men for how many years now? Not a fucking thing. Yeah, there's things in the works, but the only thing they've really pulled out of Fox was Predator, that Prey movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's and they couldn't even put that in theaters,
right? And they kind of fucked themselves if you think about it in that respect, because it did pretty well on Hulu, actually.
If Andre is the CEO, I'll bet he would know what to do. I'd be like, Andre, in 6 months, we're now in what, May? What are we? June 1st, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Okay, in 7 months from now, Andre, you be Bob Iger. Andre, I need 10 to 20 billion in 7 months. Do you want me to give Comcast 50% of our company, or do you want me to go borrow the money at 8%?
I think I would rather borrow that money at 8%. I mean, I didn't want to do either. The first thing I would say is get me out of this deal. That's the first thing I would say. I would say we're not doing this. Find some loophole, get us out of it, because I don't want to pay 800 million in a loan for them for nothing, and I'm certainly not giving them 15% of the company, because this is our biggest competitor. We would have someone on the board whose loyalty would be to another master. I'm not playing that game. So the first thing that I would do is find some way to back out of that deal. And if I absolutely had to, if there's no other way, then I would ask you to come up with some way to at least get the interest down to 7%. Because I would rather have that loan which has to be repaid. But when it is repaid, that's done. Universal owns 15%. That's forever.
Yep.
So I'd rather do the thing that's the least damaging that can be fixed, and then I would have to turn around the company, and then I would just basically continue Iger's mass firings and expand them and get
and I know
rot out. I mean, that's a big challenge, but Iger could do more than what he's doing. This is obvious. Right now, he's mismanaging this company.
Honestly, this is like a big fuck you to Disney, and I'll tell you why. Because even though Script ain't here, I know he'd probably argue with me on this, but he's not, so I can say this now. If Comcast Universal was smart, they never would have started Peacock in the first place. They would have just bought Disney out of Hulu and made Hulu theirs. If anything, they would be smart to keep Hulu and just combine that with Peacock, and then that would like probably double their fucking subscriber base overnight. But at the end of the day, I don't see this as being a win-win for Universal, other than they're going to get some money out of Disney and they're going to unload this, because to me, Hulu is probably more financially successful than Peacock has to be. I don't know. I'm not looking at anything. I don't have anything to go off of. I'm just guessing. But I mean, you go up to most people, ask, do you have Hulu or have you heard of it? They'll like, yeah, I have Hulu. You ask if you have Peacock, they're going to think you're swearing at you most of the time. But like, yeah, most people don't have Peacock or have really even heard of it. It's done okay because they haven't really spent the money on it, though, that other, all the other companies have sunk into their original material.
Andre, I don't know if you're young enough or old enough to remember this or study this, but this reminds me of, do you remember when Apple was in trouble and Microsoft had to bail them out?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, that business case is something like we might be in that situation with Disney. They might literally have to go hand in hand and say, someone buy this, someone buy that, someone buy this.
I wouldn't be surprised. And maybe that's why we had the rumors about Iger talking with Apple. But we will see what happens with that, and we have plenty more super
And I have to correct myself too, Andre, before we get to those. Actually, if you ask somebody if they had Peacock nowadays, they probably say, no, I just had it removed last week. But anyway. Yeah, now that I got myself canceled. DCB Titan says the only genocide happening is my brain cells when these people speak, right?
Oh, we'll have some more clips for you next video. So just remember that those brain cells, they renew once a week. I mean, at least an alcoholic told me that once. So yeah.
Yeah. Snakes and Funerals says YouTube commentary about movies and shows is usually more entertaining than the products themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're watching Rings of Power, for sure.
Especially nowadays, right? Like, yeah, with a lot of the stuff that's out there.
And also, especially, I just have to mention it, our He-Man wake, where we learned that, Mike hasn't seen the last 5 minutes. We need to go and watch them right now, so we can all share our experiences and sorrows. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, that was great fun. Yeah, that was awesome. Good job.
It wasn't so fun for you there and then, but it became fun after the fact.
And I don't know if he's listening or not, but Captain Fandom Nerd sent me some snack money for when he sends me to Barbie movie this year. So he sent me at $10. So I just wanted to thank him.
Such a great guy.
Actually, it's the joke's kind of on him because I kind of want to see this movie now after the last couple times.
We've been covering this movie extensively.
Well, I mean, we were the first ones to kind of break the Amy Schumer business and all that kind of stuff before. So the He-Man versus Barbie shit.
Yeah, that was fun. And that's our exclusive.
We need to do we need to do a revisit video with all that
stuff.
Yeah,
we're going to do
the
that.
Crazy Road to Barbie the movie, yeah. Cryam says, never will get it, but I want a pie chart breakdown of where the money went. Well, you never know. Andre's good with charts. Don't even worry about marketing. Just show where the $250 million actually went by department. Bet we can slim down 100 to 150 million fast. Well, yeah, this is what I've said before. First of all, the biggest chunk of things, and I'll do this as quick as possible because we got a lot of super chats to get through. First thing you got to do is cut down the what actors are making, right? You got a problem when you're paying 10, 15, 20 million dollars for each one of these actors. Secondly is they're going to have to figure out a way, especially with all these strikes going on right now, to shake down the industry of this incessant need to have 10 people to do one job. Because that's kind of what all these guilds are. I hate saying it, but that's really at the end of the day what it is. And the other part of it is just money that's swept under the rug, snorted, or fucked on the weekend. And Mikey knows what I'm talking about there.
And I'm laughing because you're entirely right. But Mike, yeah, of course, I believe you quit Hollywood over this.
Dude, it happened over and over again, and I'm just like, you guys, these people are crazy. And then the other time when he brought me for one production, he brought me receipts to get reimbursed because he bought a bunch of Rolexes for the gift bags for like 7 or 8 producers, and they were like 1,400. No, what were they, 2,300 each? Something, no, 3,300 each. Yeah, 3,300 each. It was fucking ridiculous. This guy.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, there's your answer to how they put together.
And he put it on his Amex,
goodie
so he could,
bags.
and he put it on his Amex so he could get the points, and then he brought me the receipt so that he could get reimbursed out of it from the production, from the post-production budget, from the accounting.
I love that you put up with how stupid I am.
What do you mean?
Because I'm just ignorant. I don't do things out of.
I do believe that's probably a relief, because then it's better to deal with ignorance than share evil.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm never doing shit out of malice. It's like, Tom, why did you do this? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you have ignorance but good intention in one end and sheer malice in the other.
Right. And be like,
just
Tom,
fall in the
why did
middle
you
of-
order 7 copies of the same DVD last year?
In case I wanted to watch it more than once. So I can give them away. I don't know. I come up with a reason that's tax deductible sooner or later.
Yeah.
No, I can see where you get that. That's basically where a lot of the money goes, right? And I mean, another thing I would say, check out our interview with, or Andre's interview with Gary Tunnicliffe, where they talk about The Exorcist 4 versions 1 and 2, and how the money was kind of handled with that situation, and what they report. That's another thing too. We never know actually how much is actually put into the production, and a lot less than you'd think.
Yeah, indeed.
Maverick Christian says, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, but we have plenty more super chats to go through here. So,
yes, indeed. Maverick Christian says the article misleading, says the original Little Mermaid story never revealed her race, but the Danish tale describes her having white arms and white legs, so her skin color is easy to guess. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like, oh no, plenty of people have pointed out that it has Danish origins. So, like,
yeah,
I mean,
here's like the thing for a Danish story. From that time, there really was no need to specify the ethnicity of the character, but it was kind of taken for granted.
and look at all you cannot rewind DVDs. Ha! I'm not that dumb. Actually, that is kind of funny because
That's a good one.
I've told this story before, probably, so I'll keep it quick. When I opened my video store, I actually had DVD players to rent because DVDs had just come on the market. And the first people that rented one brought it back with the movies they rented. And they're like, we tried rewinding them, but we're not sure if we did it right. So I hope you don't charge us for it. And I laughed. And then I realized they were fucking serious. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to rewind DVDs. They're just like CDs. They're like, oh, good. Well, that's good to know. Like, and they took it with pretty good spirits because I was like, I thought they were really joking. Because a guy I went to high school with. So I was just like, I thought he was joking with me. And I'm like, oh, you're fucking
So
serious.
basically, he is young enough that he should know better.
He should have, but at the same time, DVDs were so new that I was just like, okay, I guess, because they didn't laugh along with me. So I'm like, oh shit, so I felt embarrassed. I'm like, oh shit, he's serious. Him and his girlfriend just standing there looking at me like, why are you laughing at us? I was like, oh shit. But anyway, Pilgrim Media says, hey, where's the Viking? He's here now.
You're referring to me right here. Thanks
Yeah,
for
'cause
asking.
You're asking about how you feel about the new blondes being the new gingers, with the Viking characters and How to Train Your Dragon. I brought that up to you yesterday. You're like, I've never seen it, but yeah, that doesn't seem.
I've never seen How to Train Your Dragon either, but I will say that I appreciate Hollywood giving us another opportunity to downvote them and let their movie fail and flop.
Yeah. The Ministry of Wrong Things says, did George W. Bush write these articles? I know, right? Terrorism, terrorists everywhere. Terrius Munchausen sends us a super sticker. I'm betting it's a red box of popcorn. Let's see here. Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Darius. We appreciate that. Big Daddy MRI also brought out the popcorn today. Guess he thought it was needed. Shadow Dance of the Red Mage says, speaking as a veteran, There comes a moment when one decides to die on their feet or on their knees. This ESG racket brings only brings only a coward's death inevitably.
Oh, worse than that, it basically makes you convert over to the enemy first, and then you die coward's death. So yeah.
Yeah. 1990 TMNT is still 80s period. 80s is 77 to 94. Well, I get what you're saying. In a weird way, I also feel like that was the movie that kicked off the 90s. I know it seems weird since the TMNT is kind of based in the 80s, but they reached their peak in the 90s. So like from 90 to 93, it was like you couldn't go anywhere without Ninja Turtles being on everything. It was like as soon as Batman hype wore down, TMNT was there.
I will say I do agree with that time scale, though, that the 80s is from 77 to 94.
I get what he's saying.
I see where you're coming from, because that
I get
way
what you're
you
saying.
get Superman the movie, that's now an 80s movie. You can argue that that's true. You can argue that that's the case.
Yeah. And I think what you're getting at here actually is, and I'll tell you why I think you think this, Valentine's Tube, and why Andre and I think Andre and I agree with you, is because from 77, and I'd actually argue more like 93, basically from Star Wars to Jurassic Park.
I agree. 77 to 93, because 94, that's when Street Fighter the movie came.
And
came
CGI
out.
took
That's
over.
That's definitely 90s.
And Pulp Fiction came out that year, and that really kicked off like a 90s vibe in the movie. So yes, I agree with you. And it's also when we went from the analog to digital age, basically, is what I was getting at.
And also, like, what year was the first Super Mario? Was that 93?
Yes.
Because that's also 90s.
That was when you could consider like a transition movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ninja Turtles movie, though, from 1990, I see where you're coming from. It feels like an 80s movie, but it's so 90s for me. It's hard for me to disconnect it. But like, I get it. Yeah. I totally agree with this assessment, and especially in a sense from, 77 being Star Wars. Actually, you could go as far as 75 with Jaws, because Jaws was like the quintessential 80s movie. Really, you think about it.
Yeah.
It started that whole trend. But no, yeah, totally hard to argue, but a good conversation to be had there with that. And we got this one already, so thank you for that. We got that one already. Waltman4 says the main reason why the D&D movie failed, fans were rightfully upset with Wizard of the Coast OGL 1.0 legal license, and Wizards of the Coast was exposed for sending the Pinkertons on some of the fans. Yeah, I remember hearing about this, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change that movie was decent. I can't deny them that. I didn't even want to like it.
I also said that that's one of the reasons. I don't think that's the main reason. I don't think that the general audience decided that, because of this, we're not going. I think there were other things that came into play there, but that obviously didn't help, because that's primed the built-in audience against the movie. That's never a good sign. That's never a good start. And then moving on from there.
I got kneel before the power of my large male genitals. The director's strike will cause tons of damage. Yay. Actually, I don't know how much damage. This might be one of those few times where what it helps might outweigh the damage, because we usually come out of these things a lot better off than we were going in some cases.
Unless you were a fan of My Name is Earl, like myself, then the previous one did nothing good, because it ended one of the best series on TV.
That was one of the worst ones. But the one in the 80s and the last one we had were probably for good reason. But at the same time, the last one also got us shit like Kurtzman. So, or the one you're talking about, actually, I think is the same one that got us Kurtzman.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the bad one. That's the bad one. Okay, so last
that was a bad one.
The one in the 80s wasn't so bad.
Lost us My Name is Earl and gave us Kurtzman. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that one was a bad one, though. But in this case, it might actually, like I said, bring on the end of the woke bullshit. So let's hope, fingers crossed. Kitty Bear said, what did Scuttle say to Flounder? You got a friend in me. Yeah, literally. He ate him. Oh. Carlos Estrada says, will Hollywood race swap Latinos like redheads? Yes. You're next.
What?
Your white supremacy has gone on too long, Mike.
They just don't like us because we're not agreeing with all their crap very easily.
Well, they like you if you're blue.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so they'll just make you blue, make you push you under the sea and make you blue. That's yeah.
There's so
And for
much
those that don't
going
know,
on
talking
here.
about, we're discussing Mike's iron or Mike's epic rant to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the treatment of Namor and all Latinos.
That's probably why you're too white now, because you guys didn't accept Namor. Jerks.
Dude, he's on. Dude, they took him down with freaking Home Depot like space heaters, and they aimed him at his back. How am I not supposed to think that's a wetback reference?
Oh, it totally is.
Well,
But you didn't get behind the gayness of him.
oh, sorry. Put it on my to-do list. Dude, he was like out there like he was going to a pool party and
Yeah, Namor walks in the house like,
yeah. Do you like the green on my earring? Do you like the green on my earring?
Everything's fabulous.
And then he's thumping and bumping, and he's got booty shorts on. Next thing you know, he's on a pole. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, Carlos, I don't think it's too far off. Duruan says race swap Tarzan. Oh, they'll never go that far. If they do, they're stupid.
I think Tarzan is going to be an issue. Same thing with the Phantom. Like White Man, King of the Jungle. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Unless they were already black to begin with, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they did make the Phantom black in the comics for a while there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that. Jesus Davila sends us a super sticker. I bet it's a thumbs up. Let's see here. Jesus Davila, thumbs up. Thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that. And then we've got a few more to go here. Make Asylum's great again, says Mexican Iron Man is my favorite YouTuber. Well, he's mine too.
Yeah, and Mike, we'll get a community note on this one too.
He is. He's my favorite YouTuber.
Yeah.
Jim Otari says, did you guys talk about the Punisher being removed from Marvel? No, I didn't hear about this. What's going on now?
Punisher being removed.
This sounds like
from
something
Marvel?
that's your domain, Andre. What the fuck's going on here?
This is news to me. I haven't heard anything of this. Going to need a community note on this one because I know that the rumors are that the Punisher is getting his own series on Netflix on Disney Plus after the Daredevil series. We'll see what happens with that, though.
Okay, no. What do you mean?
Ninja in the comics, but being removed from Marvel?
Removed from Netflix. No, what does he mean? It was already. I don't know what he means. Jim Otari,
for a while.
Jim Otari, give us some more context. I don't know what this means. We would know this already, I thought.
I have to look at this. I'm trying to see if I can find something out here, but
I'm not finding anything, and if Six can't find anything, which she says in the back, then yeah,
nope, me neither.
Totally confused. If it's comic related, nothing's coming up. Yeah, news to me.
Yeah. No, you're gonna have to give some more context on this one because
Christian Garcia says he found the article. Are you on my Twitter, Christian? Send it to me. The only one I can find was from last year when they removed it from Netflix.
Yeah, we knew about that.
Yeah,
talked about that last year.
Yeah. Article on CBR. Okay, well, we're checking CBR then.
Right.
Let's see what we can find right there. CBR on the Punisher. CBR. They're owned by CBS, aren't they? Punisher. Here we go. An unexpected. No, this is something from the comics, I guess. The Punisher, then, because I just see stuff from the comics here.
Yeah, that's what Six has here.
Rumor: the Punisher is getting his own Disney Plus series, and that's on CBR less than 24 hours ago.
Otherwise, we got Marvel's The Punisher has shocking new status moving forward. Spoilers.
Jim, put it in chat. He's probably not even here anymore. Let me see.
If it's some Jason Aaron comic drivel, yeah, then that's a different thing.
All right.
Oh yeah,
well,
because
moving right along.
because the current run of the comics that seems to majorly subvert the Punisher. So who knows what they're doing there?
What it sounds like here, that might be what he's referring to. I don't know.
And then also browsing through the headlines, I see that CBR says that Ray Stevenson was the best Punisher in Marvel's most underrated movie. I don't know that the movie was underrated, but Ray Stevenson was definitely the best Punisher. About him being removed, if it's just some drivel from the comics, then it's just like...
It's the same article that you just sent me, Jim Watari. Okay, so yeah, just some shit from the comics, evidently.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds like he's retiring or something like that.
That's just for right now. He'll come back again. They're not giving up on the character. Now it's just a horrible, horrible time in Marvel Comics. In time, he'll return. So nothing to see here. Move on, folks, is my answer to that. It's probably better that they retire him or do something different. I mean, they already made him like Space Ghost Rider and Frankenstein and a zombie angel. So, like,
did I read this right? That he got his wife and kid back?
Yes, he did.
What the fuck? That's like Uncle Ben coming back.
Yeah, I know, but again, this is Jason Aaron, and for like the last 12 issues, he's basically made the Punisher the leader of the Hand.
Wait, I'm glad I'm not reading any of the new stuff. Jesus.
Yeah, no, like I'll hook you up with some old good Punisher stories. You know, the ones written by Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron and Ennis and stuff. That's like good times.
I want Punisher sitting in a John.
Yeah.
Tap. Ace 1589 2001 says $5 for my favorite YouTuber, Mexican Iron Man.
I see what you did there, Ace. I saw that. Thanks for the heck?
That was a nice one. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, that's Nelson Shrita says, Andre, what is worse in life? No King Conan.
Well, no, actually, that's only second worst in life.
Yeah.
The worst in life is bad King Conan.
Right. Well, we should do a script reading of that one. I'll do Conan if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm old now and I got a sword.
And meanwhile, head on over to Script Doctor for a review.
His review.
Legend of Conan script.
Mellow Mutts is here. How you doing, Mellow Mutts? Says, hey, Tom, you should look into pajamas for post-surgery. They work wonders for my dog. Cones can be stressful, so it might also help with outlook. That's a good point. I wonder. The only thing I have worry about with Sadie, with her being a husky German Shepherd mix, she'll probably try and tear him off because she hates heat. Like, yeah, so we'll see. I could try something like that, though, maybe. That's a good idea.
Those dogs, they love the cold and snow.
Oh, God, yes. When it's cooler out, she just sits outside all day long. Cannon Fell at Errol says, strong work, Mikey. There you go. Dearest says, I had a small prediction, but Latinos would be turned on next a few years ago. That demographic can rival white in the U.S., and they are Christian. Yeah, basically the points I brought up.
Deeply problematic right there.
Yes, indeed. Mecca J said, mainstream media, we do not negotiate with critic reviewing terrorists. Yeah, well. Hey, Bamacrat, how you doing? It says, concerning strong vocal denials, Shakespeare said it best. Methinks thou dost protest too much. At two, Mikey?
Yeah, but I'm Mexican, and that's what we do.
Bucky Cat says, investor observer was asking the question if it is time for investors to dump Disney stock. Yeah, I think that's the story
No one here is financial advisor, so we cannot give financial advice. But
no, we don't. But there is an article that was sent to me here by a Mikey.
Yeah.
That's the article that he's referring to.
I think so. I got too many things open here. Where's my fucking stream? Oh my God, this day needs to end. 3 shaky stocks to ditch before June 23. Number 1, Walt Disney.
That's bad when you are
That's
getting
bad.
sell recommendations, but I do not blame anyone for giving sell recommendations when it comes to the Disney stock, because I don't see anything in their future that's going to do anything. I mean, if I had Disney stock right now, which I don't, full disclosure, but if I had, this is not any kind of financial advice or something like
Right.
that. I'd wait for the next earnings call and then I'd short.
Oh. Well. Yeah.
Again, not giving any kind of financial
No, we
advice.
don't give
here,
out
but
financial advice.
yeah.
No.
Nope.
Robert says, anyone know why Haley Bailey has scars by eyebrows? No, I don't. I'm sure it's on a Wikipedia or something somewhere. So
I know what Jason Momoa has, but in her case, I didn't even know she had.
yeah, I guess I didn't pay that much attention. Valentine's Tube said 94 cause of culture, hairstyle, etc. Love you. Yeah, no, I get you. Our Carlos Estrada says new Netflix doc idea, Selena starring Lizzo.
That can happen before you know it.
Yeah, probably. And we are caught up, kids. And 3 hours.
Wow.
We still didn't get out of here before 3 hours. Nothing to talk about today, but we still was here for 3 hours. Joe's Atmosphere says, just heard from my daughter. Writer sent picketers to Atlanta. Her production crew is on the bread line now. She works in locations. So they're trying to shut down active productions. Is that what you're getting at?
It seems like, so if you send picketers to Atlanta, then it does sound like they're trying to say shut it all down. Does sound like that, yes.
That's the impression that I get. So with that, we'll see how this goes. I think Friday we'll have some strike talk. Strike talk. Yeah. What else?
So you're assuming this other entity is going to go on strike?
Well, if Script said here's the thing. If they don't, from what I've heard from Script has said that this writer's strike could drag on for some time. If the directors go on strike too, soon followed by the actors, they'll probably do everything they can, it seems like, probably to get everything wrapped. Because if either one of those guilds go on strike, everything shuts down. Everything. Because at least right now, they're still able to run with whatever was pre-written. They just can't rewrite anything. Right? So they can still work. But if the directors go on strike or the actors go on strike, they can't do shit. Because you need one or the other to actually do this. So, I mean, the writing's already done. That comes ahead of time. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes the next few weeks. It's not looking good for Hollywood, though. But I think we'll be able to talk to Script a little bit more about that on Friday, hopefully.
That someone will do some good work behind the scenes here on getting things fixed.
Other than that, we may be talking a little Spider-Verse news because it looks like the early reviews on that have got it sitting in the high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. So the critics love it, kids. Means it's good and woke. Like I warned you. So we'll see on that. But with that, Andre, I think we are all caught up.
So with that, I would like to say thanks to all of the panelists. Go and follow Mr. Chato. Go follow Cultured Casino. Check out his most recent video. Go check out Script Doctor. Check out his Patreon. Of course, Mike, we are so glad to have you here. Pop up all over the place, even though he is not a YouTuber. We just love having you here. And,
good job, Andre.
Brace yourself, because I'm working on a new video right now as we speak. I will be returning to that, and hopefully in not too many hours we'll do a video on the Little Mermaid, yet another one.
Andre, may I submit Exhibit A?
God, can we thank Six for her outstanding work today?
And of course, community note will be forthcoming here. And of course, the special thanks also to Six for doing amazing job behind the scenes.
Yes,
do this without you, or indeed any of the other mods. Same with the mods in our Facebook group. You all do amazing. we couldn't run the ship without you. And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
According to Casperius, it is indeed, yes. And thank you, Mikey, for being the best YouTuber there is. You're an inspiration.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas in the rain.